Part 2, Trials and Tribulations. Chapter 11, Navigating the Seas. The Crimson Isles loomed ominously on the horizon, their jagged silhouettes stark against the darkening sky, like the teeth of some ancient beast waiting to devour any who dared approach. Adrian and Cale stood side by side on the deck of the Sea Serpent, their small but resilient ship, as it rocked gently on the restless ocean swells. The air was thick with tension, the kind that comes when the end of a long and perilous journey is finally in sight. The Isles, shrouded in mystery and danger, were a formidable sight, their presence a reminder of the challenges that still lay ahead. Yet, there was also a sense of anticipation, a silent understanding between the two men that this was the moment they had been preparing for. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an ember hue over the turbulent waters, its fading light reflecting off the crests of the waves like molten gold. It was a beautiful but fleeting sight, a brief moment of calm before the storm they both knew was coming. The Sea Serpent, though small, had proven itself time and again, weathering the roughest seas and fiercest winds. Now, as it approached the treacherous water surrounding the Crimson Isles, the ship seemed to take on a life of its own, as if it, too, understood the gravity of the moment. Adrian tightened his grip on the ship's railing, his eyes fixed on the distant shore, his mind racing with thoughts of the treasure that awaited them and the trials they would need to overcome to claim it. The promise of treasure and the weight of their quest hung heavily in the air, almost palpable in its intensity. It was a feeling that pulsed between them, electric and charged with the knowledge of what was at stake. This journey had tested them in ways they could never have anticipated, forging a bond that was as strong as the steel of the ship's hull. As they stood there, the wind whipping through their hair and the sound of the sea filling their ears, they were united in their determination. Whatever dangers the Crimson Isles held, whatever trials they would face, they would do so together. The journey had brought them to this point, and as the Isles loomed closer, the final chapter of their quest was about to begin. The journey had been anything but easy, a relentless test of their endurance and resolve. The days leading up to their approach to the Crimson Isles had been marked by a constant battle against the elements, as the Sea Serpent was tossed by waves that seemed to grow more formidable with each passing hour. Every swell of the ocean carried with it a sense of menace, as if the sea itself were conspiring to keep them from reaching their destination. The skies had alternated between brooding clouds and brief, deceptive moments of calm, but the threat of a sudden storm was ever present. The tension on board was palpable, as Adrian and Cale, along with the crew, remained vigilant, knowing that the next wave could be the one that threatened to capsize their small vessel. Their preparations had been meticulous, born of necessity and the hard-earned wisdom gained from previous encounters with the dangers of the open sea. Every possible precaution had been taken, from reinforcing the ship's hull to stockpiling provisions and securing their weapons for any sudden attack. Yet, despite their careful planning, there was an unspoken understanding between Adrian and Cale that some dangers simply could not be anticipated or avoided. The sea was a living, breathing entity, with moods as fickle as any creature they had ever faced. And then there were the magical threats, the unseen forces that lurked beneath the surface, waiting to strike when least expected. The stories of these dangers had seemed like mere legends when they had first set sail, but now, as they neared the Crimson Isles, they felt all too real. Even with all their preparations, nothing could entirely shield them from the unpredictability of the sea or the ancient magic that seemed to radiate from the waters around the Crimson Isles. The days had been long and grueling, each one testing their limits in new and unexpected ways. There had been moments when despair threatened to creep in, when the relentless waves and the ominous silence of the deep made it seem as though they were battling forces far beyond their control. But through it all, Adrian and Cale had remained steadfast, their bond only growing stronger as they faced these challenges together. The journey had taken its toll, but it had also steeled them for the final leg of their quest, a journey that would require every ounce of their strength and resolve. As they approached the fabled islands, they knew that the hardest trials still lay ahead, but they were ready to face them, side by side. Adrian stood at the helm of the Sea Serpent, his eyes sharp and focused on the distant horizon as he made minute adjustments to the ship's course. Each movement of his hands was deliberate and precise, a testament to the countless hours he had spent mastering the art of navigation. His familiarity with the maps, combined with the instincts he had developed over years of braving perilous waters, allowed him to read the ocean's shifting patterns with an almost intuitive understanding. The ship's will felt steady under his grip, a reassuring reminder of his expertise as he guided the vessel through the treacherous waters surrounding the Crimson Isles. The sea, unpredictable and vast, demanded a navigator who could balance precision with adaptability, and Adrian was more than equal to the task. Beside him, Cale stood as a silent sentinel, his presence a constant and reassuring force in the midst of the unfolding journey. While Adrian's attention was focused on the external challenges of navigation, Cale's senses were finely tuned to the subtler, often imperceptible threats that lay beneath the surface. His eyes scanned the water with a practiced vigilance, searching for signs of the magical dangers and hidden perils that had become an ever-present concern. The air around them seemed charged with an almost palpable tension, a reminder of the ancient magic that pulsed from the depths. Cale's calm demeanor and perceptive nature provided a crucial counterbalance to Adrian's navigational prowess, ensuring that they were prepared for both visible and unseen dangers. The partnership between Adrian and Cale was a seamless blend of skill and intuition, each complementing the other in their quest to reach the Crimson Isles. Adrian's meticulous attention to the charts and his deep knowledge of maritime navigation were matched by Cale's keen awareness of the mystical forces that lurked beneath the waves. Together, they formed a formidable team, their combined abilities allowing them to navigate the complex interplay of natural and supernatural threats with a remarkable degree of success. As they moved forward, the horizon remained their guide, but it was the harmony between their respective strengths that truly propelled them toward their goal. In the midst of the vast and turbulent sea, they had become more than just allies. They were a unified force, prepared to face whatever challenges awaited them. "Steady as she goes, Captain," Cale instructed, his voice carrying a calm authority that belied the undercurrent of concern in his tone. His eyes remained fixed on the shifting waters, their dark depths hinting at the powerful forces lying just below the surface. The sun had dipped lower in the sky, casting an eerie twilight glow over the sea, which seemed to shimmer with an unsettling energy. Cale's warning was not merely a precaution but a reminder of the looming dangers that came with approaching the region known for its potent magical presence. The sea, once a vast and open expanse, now felt more like a labyrinth of hidden perils, and Cale's sensitivity to the magical currents made him acutely aware of the growing threat. Adrian, ever the seasoned navigator, acknowledged Cale's advice with a nod, his hands steady on the ship's wheel as he adjusted the sea serpent's course with practiced precision. The ship cut through the increasingly turbulent waters, each wave seeming to pulse with an energy that was both mesmerizing and foreboding. Adrian's focus was unwavering, but he could not ignore the subtle shift in the sea's demeanor, a sign that they were indeed entering a zone where natural and supernatural forces intertwined. The balance between maintaining their course and staying alert to the mystical disturbances required all his skill and concentration, and he could feel the weight of their situation pressing upon him. The atmosphere on the deck grew tense as the sea serpent drew closer to the area where the sea's magic was strongest. Cale's vigilance was matched by Adrian's meticulous efforts, each man attuned to their respective domains of expertise. The combination of Cale's awareness of the magical threats and Adrian's navigational expertise created a delicate equilibrium as they sailed into increasingly treacherous waters. The sea seemed to come alive around them, its surface rippling with an almost sentient force, and the faint, eerie glow of the twilight deepened the sense of encroaching danger. The words, "Steady as she goes," were more than a directive. They were a mantra of focus and determination, underscoring the gravity of their situation and the necessity of remaining resolute as they approached the heart of the perilous zone. Adrian nodded, his expression grave as he acknowledged Cale's warning. The tales of magical hazards that had once seemed like distant legends now took on a chilling reality. His eyes, usually sharp and focused, were now wide with a mixture of awe and trepidation as he observed the sea around them. The waters, which had seemed so vast and unthreatening at the beginning of their journey, now pulsed with an unsettling energy. Adrian's years of experience had prepared him for many dangers, but the tangible presence of magic in the sea was something entirely different. The tales of cursed waters and enchanted reefs that he had heard were no longer mere stories. They were manifesting in front of him, transforming the calm expanse of the ocean into a realm of uncertainty and potential peril. The sea's magic was evident in the way the water seemed to shimmer and shift, responding to forces that defied natural explanation. Glowing wisps of light danced on the surface, casting an eerie luminescence that added to the sense of unease. Adrian's seasoned instincts told him that this was no ordinary phenomenon, but a powerful magical presence that could pose serious risks to their journey. The gentle hum of energy that seemed to emanate from the water was both mesmerizing and menacing, hinting at the dangers that lay hidden beneath the surface. The sea, once a familiar and manageable entity, now felt like an enigmatic force that was beyond his control. As Adrian continued to navigate through the treacherous waters, the weight of the situation pressed heavily on him. The stories he had heard about magical hazards were no longer abstract. They were a present and immediate reality. The realization that they were surrounded by forces beyond their understanding made every decision and every maneuver on the ship all the more critical. Adrian's serious demeanor was a reflection of the gravity of their situation, an acknowledgement that the journey was fraught with risks far greater than he had anticipated. As he adjusted the ship's course with steady hands, he knew that their survival depended on their ability to adapt to these new, magical threats, and to face them with the same resolve that had carried them this far. As they ventured further into the heart of the Crimson Isles, the sea around them transformed into something both mesmerizing and foreboding. The once deep blue waters gradually shifted to an eerie, swirling tapestry of greens and purples. This unnatural palette seemed to pulse with a life of its own, casting strange reflections and shadows that danced across the sea serpent's deck. The vibrant, shifting colors created a surreal atmosphere, one that both fascinated and unsettled the crew. It was as if the very essence of the ocean had been altered by the powerful magic that pervaded the region, turning the familiar sea into a realm of otherworldly beauty and danger. Beneath the surface, the currents had become a chaotic tangle of powerful forces. They twisted and writhed with an almost sentient energy, their movements unpredictable and erratic. The sea serpent's hull strained against these unseen forces, groaning under the pressure as the ship was buffeted by the invisible hands of the sea's magic. Each surge of the current felt like a deliberate challenge, a test of the ship's and its crew's resilience. The normally steady rhythm of the ship's journey was disrupted by these relentless pulls, forcing Adrian to make constant adjustments to the course. The sea's magical currents seemed intent on hindering their progress, adding an extra layer of difficulty to their already perilous voyage. The strain on the sea serpent was evident in every creak of the wood and every shudder that ran through its frame. The ship, which had weathered many storms and dangers before, now felt vulnerable to the relentless power of the sea's magical influence. Adrian and Cale worked in tandem, their every action a calculated response to the unpredictable nature of their surroundings. The eerie colors and the turbulent currents were not just physical challenges but a stark reminder of the stakes involved. As they pressed onward into the heart of the Crimson Isles, the growing intensity of the magical forces around them underscored the enormity of their quest, and the need for unwavering focus and determination to overcome the obstacles that lay ahead. Suddenly, the calm that had settled over the sea serpent was shattered by a hauntingly low, mournful song that seemed to materialize from the depths of the ocean itself. The melody, ethereal and mournful, drifted over the waves like an otherworldly whisper, carrying with it a sense of deep melancholy and ancient sorrow. The sound was unlike anything Adrian or Cale had ever heard, an eerie, resonant tune that seemed to weave through the air and merge with the undulating currents of the sea. It was as if the very fabric of the ocean was singing, and the song's mournful tones filled the air with an almost tangible sense of grief and longing. Cale's reaction was immediate and visceral. His eyes widened in alarm as the song reached his ears. His gaze darted rapidly toward the water, searching for the source of the unsettling melody. His instincts, finely tuned to the magical and mystical forces of the sea, sensed that this was no ordinary sound but rather a signal of something far more significant and potentially dangerous. The sea's magic had already been evident in the strange currents and shifting colors, but this song was a new and ominous development. Kale's heightened awareness and experience with the arcane made him acutely sensitive to any signs of supernatural activity, and the mournful tune struck him as both a warning and a challenge. The mournful song seemed to seep into every corner of the sea serpent, creating an atmosphere thick with unease and foreboding. Adrian, though focused on navigating the treacherous waters, could not ignore the impact of the melody on the ship and its crew. The sound carried a disquieting resonance that heightened the sense of vulnerability and danger they were facing. As Kale and Adrian exchanged worried glances, the song's mournful notes continued to drift over the waves, a chilling reminder of the powerful and enigmatic forces that govern the Crimson Isles. The song's haunting presence signaled that they were nearing a crucial point in their journey, where the stakes were higher, and the magic of the sea was preparing to reveal its next challenge. "Sirens," Kale said, his voice taut with urgency, breaking the uneasy silence that had settled over the sea serpent. His tone conveyed a palpable tension, a stark contrast to the previous calm. The word was enough to send a shiver through the crew, who had all heard tales of these mythical beings and their perilous allure. Kale's eyes remained fixed on the water, his expression a mix of apprehension and resolve. The mournful song they had heard was unmistakably the siren's call, a magical lure designed to enchant and ensnare unwary sailors. The danger was imminent, and Kale's warning underscored the urgency of their situation. The air around them seemed to grow heavier as the song's mournful notes grew louder, the siren's melody becoming a more insistent, seductive presence. The water's eerie, shifting colors appeared to intensify, reflecting the growing power of the siren's enchantment. The sea serpent's crew moved quickly, their earlier calm replaced by a flurry of activity, as they braced themselves for the impending threat. Adrian's hands tightened on the wheel, his previously confident demeanor now marked by keen focus as he navigated the increasingly treacherous waters. The siren's approach was a reminder that, despite their preparations and skill, they were still vulnerable to the unpredictable forces of the sea. As the siren's song reached its peak, its enchanting notes seemed to weave around them, creating an almost tangible aura of menace. The sea itself seemed to respond to the siren's power, with the currents growing more turbulent and the waves crashing against the sea serpent with greater intensity. Kale's warning had not only alerted the crew to the imminent danger but also served as a catalyst for their heightened vigilance. The siren's ability to manipulate the ocean and allure sailors with their hauntingly beautiful song made them a formidable adversary. With the danger now imminent, Adrian and Kale knew that their next actions would be critical in determining whether they could withstand the siren's enchantment and continue their perilous quest through the Crimson Isles. Before Adrian could respond, a spectral figure emerged from the water, its presence both mesmerizing and unnerving. The siren's form was ethereal, its pale, shimmering skin almost translucent against the backdrop of the darkening sea. Its eyes, glowing with an otherworldly light, seemed to pierce through the fog and the gathering twilight, casting a spectral glow that both captivated and terrified. The figure's appearance was both beautiful and haunting, a visual embodiment of the magical allure that the sirens wielded so effectively. The stark contrast between the serene beauty of the siren's form and the danger it represented created an atmosphere charged with tension and foreboding. The siren's voice, though beautiful, carried an undercurrent of haunting melancholy that wrapped around the sea serpent like a seductive fog. Each note was a spell of enchantment, weaving through the air with an irresistible allure that sought to draw Adrian and his crew closer to the perilous waters. The melody was both captivating and dangerous, its haunting quality designed to cloud judgment and lead them into the depths where the siren's true power could take hold. The crew's resolve began to waver as the siren's voice tugged at their senses, the spellbinding song creating a moment of vulnerability that could easily spell disaster. Adrian's initial shock gave way to a sharp focus as he realized the gravity of their situation. The siren's spectral presence and enchanting voice were a direct threat to their safety, aiming to lure them into the very dangers they sought to avoid. With the song's entrancing pull growing stronger, Adrian had to act quickly to counter the siren's magic and keep the sea serpent on course. The danger was no longer a distant threat but an immediate, tangible force that demanded all his skill and determination. As he tightened his grip on the wheel and exchanged urgent glances with Kale, Adrian understood that their ability to resist the siren's enchantment and navigate through this perilous encounter would determine the outcome of their quest and their very survival. Adrian fought to maintain his focus amidst the mounting chaos, his voice ringing out with authority as he shouted orders to his crew. The siren's enchanting song had begun to take its toll, causing the crew members to waver and lose their grip on their duties. Adrian's commands were urgent and precise, his every word aimed at countering the siren's seductive influence and keeping the sea serpent on course. He strained against the pull of the melody, his eyes scanning the deck and the surrounding waters for any signs of further danger. The ship's will felt heavy in his hands, a stark reminder of the challenge he faced in maintaining control as the siren's magic threatened to overpower their resolve. Meanwhile, Cale moved with a swift determination, his actions driven by both urgency and practiced expertise. He reached for a small charm that hung from a chain around his neck, its significance clear to him in the face of the siren's dark enchantment. With a practiced motion, Cale recited an incantation, his voice steady despite the urgency of the situation. The charm began to glow with a bright, protective light that seemed to pierce through the murky enchantment of the siren's song. The light radiated outward, its brilliance cutting through the seductive pull of the melody and creating a barrier against the magical influence that sought to ensnare them. As the charm's protective light expanded, it created a tangible shield around the sea serpent and its crew, pushing back against the siren's song with a powerful force. The crew, previously entranced and disoriented, began to regain their senses, their actions becoming more purposeful and coordinated as the enchantment's hold weakened. The siren's song, though still present, lost its grip on their minds, allowing Adrian and Cale to refocus on their immediate tasks. The combined efforts of Adrian's steadfast navigation and Cale's protective charm forged a renewed sense of control over the perilous situation, and as the ship steadied, they pressed on through the treacherous waters with a reinforced determination to overcome the challenges that lay ahead. The siren's ethereal form, once so captivating and menacing, began to fade back into the water with a shriek of frustration that cut through the turbulent atmosphere. The haunting melody that had filled the air was abruptly silenced, replaced by the natural sounds of the sea, the creaking of the ship and the gentle lapping of waves against the hull. The siren's departure left behind a churned and battered sea serpent, its crew weary but safe, their resolve having withstood the siren's formidable magic. The ship, though showing signs of the fierce struggle, remained intact, a testament to their collective strength and resilience in the face of the supernatural threat. Adrian, still gripping the wheel with a white-knuckled intensity, allowed himself a moment of respite. His breath came in ragged gasps, the tension of the confrontation leaving him both physically and emotionally drained. His hands, though firm on the wheel, were trembling slightly, a sign of the adrenaline and stress that had coursed through him during the encounter. The weight of the siren's enchantment had been a formidable challenge, and the relief of overcoming it was both profound and bittersweet. The sea, now calm once more, seemed almost to exhale along with Adrian, the immediate danger having passed but leaving a lasting impact on the crew and the ship. As the siren's form disappeared beneath the waves, Adrian took a deep, steadying breath, his gaze sweeping over the deck and the crew who were slowly regaining their composure. The immediate threat was gone, but the experience had left its mark on everyone. The sea serpent had weathered yet another formidable challenge, and while the ship had endured, the encounter had underscored the unpredictable and perilous nature of their journey through the Crimson Isles. With the siren's departure, Adrian and Cale knew that their path forward would still be fraught with danger, but the victory over the siren's enchantment had reaffirmed their determination to press on and face whatever lay ahead with renewed resolve. "That was too close," Adrian said, his voice trembling with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. His gaze was fixed on the still choppy waters where the siren had vanished, the remnants of the encounter weighing heavily on him. The strain of the battle against the siren had left its mark, and the uncertainty of their position was evident in the shaky quality of his voice. The sea had tested their resolve, and the immediate danger had passed, but the realization of how narrowly they had escaped the siren's enchantment hung heavily in the air. Adrian's words reflected the gravity of the situation and the daunting task of maintaining their course in the face of such relentless threats. Cale, standing beside Adrian, could see the fatigue etched into his companion's features. He understood the magnitude of the struggle they had just endured, and the challenge of facing similar dangers in the future was evident in Adrian's question. Cale's expression was one of determination as he considered their next steps. The sirens were not the only magical hazards they would encounter. The Crimson Isles were fraught with peril, and maintaining their course required both vigilance and resilience. Cale knew that their success depended on their ability to adapt and respond to the unpredictable forces of the sea, and he was ready to offer the support and guidance necessary to keep them moving forward. As the sea serpent continued to navigate through the turbulent waters, Adrian's concern about sustaining their efforts was both valid and pressing. The siren's attack had been a stark reminder of the dangers they faced, and the path ahead was still fraught with uncertainty. Cale placed a reassuring hand on Adrian's shoulder, offering silent support in the face of the challenge. "We'll keep going," Cale said, his voice steady and resolute. "We've faced danger before and come through. As long as we stay alert and work together, we can handle whatever comes next." The words were a promise of continued determination and unity, a reassurance that despite the perilous journey, they were equipped to face the trials ahead. Cale, looking pale but resolute, met Adrian's worried gaze with a firm expression. The recent encounter with the siren had drained him, yet his determination was unwavering. He took a deep breath, steadying himself before responding. "We need to stay on course and be prepared for more magical threats," he said, his voice carrying a sense of urgency tempered with experience. The pallor of his face was a stark contrast to the intensity of his words, reflecting the toll that the encounter had taken on him. Cale's calm demeanor was a source of strength, a reminder that despite their exhaustion, they needed to remain vigilant and focused on their goal. The Crimson Isles, Cale continued, were infamous for their formidable enchantments, and the magical guardians that protected them. The islands were not just a physical challenge, but a realm where ancient and powerful forces still held sway. Cale's knowledge of the region's magical landscape was crucial, and he conveyed the importance of being prepared for the unpredictable nature of their journey. His words were a stark reminder of the stakes involved, emphasizing that the perils they faced were far from over. The siren's attack was merely a precursor to the dangers that lay ahead, and understanding this was vital for their survival and success. Adrian nodded, absorbing Cale's words with a renewed sense of purpose. The reality of their situation was harsh, but Cale's resolve was infectious. The journey through the Crimson Isles demanded more than just physical endurance. It required mental fortitude and a deep understanding of the magical threats that permeated the region. As they adjusted their course and braced themselves for the challenges to come, the crew's spirits were bolstered by Cale's unyielding determination. The knowledge that they were facing the journey with a clear strategy and a shared commitment to overcome the obstacles ahead provided a glimmer of hope amidst the daunting task before them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sea serpent was enveloped in a deepening twilight, casting long, elongated shadows across the deck. The transition from day to night brought with it a palpable shift in the atmosphere. The once clear outlines of the ship and the surrounding waters became obscured by the encroaching darkness, amplifying the sense of isolation and vulnerability. The crew, already weary from their earlier encounter with the siren, felt the weight of the night's arrival as it cloaked the sea in a veil of uncertainty and foreboding. With the onset of night, the dangers of the sea seemed to grow more pronounced and menacing. Strange lights began to flicker across the water's surface, their eerie glow dancing in patterns that defied natural explanation. These spectral illuminations created an unsettling visual display, casting an otherworldly luminescence that played tricks on the eyes. Beneath the surface, ghostly shapes seemed to move with a fluid, almost ethereal grace. The shifting forms were barely discernible through the darkened waters, adding to the sense of unease and heightening the crew's alertness as they navigated this treacherous environment. The sea serpent pressed onward through the night, its crew maneuvering through a labyrinth of magical hazards and natural perils. The ship's progress was cautious and deliberate, with every maneuver calculated to avoid the myriad of dangers that lurked in the darkness. The waters were fraught with hidden threats, both magical and mundane, and the crew's heightened vigilance was essential for their survival. The night seemed to stretch endlessly, each hour a test of their endurance and resolve. As the sea serpent navigated through this perilous maze, The crew's shared determination and the lessons learned from their previous encounters guided them through the ominous night, ever mindful of the challenges that lay ahead. During one particularly stormy night, the sea erupted into a chaotic spectacle of nature's fury. Lightning slashed across the sky with blinding brilliance, momentarily illuminating the monstrous waves that surged menacingly toward the sea serpent. The turbulent waters, whirling and cresting, seemed to tower over the ship, their formidable power a stark reminder of the tempest's unrelenting might. Each flash of lightning revealed the sheer scale of the waves, their frothy peaks crashing down with a thunderous roar that reverberated through the ship's timbers. The sea serpent was tossed violently by the storm's wrath, its hull straining against the relentless battering of the waves. The winds howled through the rigging with a banshee's wail, a mournful and terrifying sound that blended with the storm's cacophony. The ship rocked with a ferocious intensity, its decks slick with rain and spray, making every movement treacherous. Adrian and Cale, driven by sheer determination, fought to maintain control of their vessel amidst the chaos. Their efforts were a synchronized dance of command and execution, as they battled both the storm and their own exhaustion. Amidst the turmoil, Adrian and Cale worked together with a fierce, unyielding resolve. Their voices, raised above the storm's din, cut through the howling wind as they barked orders and adjusted the sails with practiced precision. Each command was a crucial part of their struggle to keep the sea serpent on course and prevent it from being overwhelmed by the tempest's rage. Their coordination and mutual trust were vital in navigating through the storm, their combined efforts a testament to their resilience and camaraderie. As the storm continued to lash out with relentless fury, Adrian and Cale's determination to see the ship through the night shone brightly against the darkness, guiding their crew through the maelstrom with unwavering resolve. Cale, fully aware of the perilous nature of the storm, turned to his knowledge of sea magic to combat the tempest's fury. His demeanor was one of intense focus as he began to chant, his voice rising and falling in a rhythmic cadence that seemed to resonate with the storm's chaos. With deliberate precision, his hands moved in intricate patterns, tracing ancient sigils and symbols into the air. Each gesture was a deliberate act of weaving protective spells, drawing upon the raw, elemental power of the sea to create magical barriers around the sea serpent. The protective enchantments shimmered with a faint, otherworldly light, forming a resilient shield against the relentless assault of wind and water. As Cale chanted and gestured, the magic he summoned began to manifest as a shimmering barrier that enveloped the ship. The tempest's fury continued to rage, with monstrous waves crashing and surging around them, but the barriers held firm, mitigating the worst of the storm's impact. The ship, though still rocked violently by the storm's force, felt a subtle shift as the protective magic absorbed and deflected the brunt of the tempest's energy. Despite the storm's unrelenting chaos, the sea serpent pressed on with a renewed determination. The magical barriers that Cale had conjured allowed the ship to cut through the turbulent waters with a semblance of stability, its course unwavering despite the violence of the storm. The combined efforts of Adrian and Cale, with Adrian's unyielding command and Cale's protective spells, forged a powerful synergy that kept the ship on track. As they navigated through the maelstrom, the sea serpent's steadfast progress was a testament to their resilience and the effectiveness of Cale's magic, which had provided a crucial safeguard against the storm's most devastating forces. Hours later, the storm's ferocious grip on the sea began to wane, its intensity gradually subsiding as dawn approached. The once turbulent waters slowly transitioned from chaotic surges to a more manageable swell, the violent winds easing into a gentler breeze. The sky, still shrouded in remnants of storm clouds, began to lighten as the first hints of morning's glow pierced through the gray, casting a softer, more hopeful light over the horizon. The ship, though battered and weary, rode the now calmer waves with a newfound steadiness, a testament to the resilience of both vessel and crew amidst the storm's fury. Exhausted but with a sense of deep satisfaction, Adrian and Cale stood side by side at the bow of the sea serpent. Their faces, streaked with salt and weariness, were illuminated by the emerging light of dawn. The storm had taken a considerable toll on them, physically and emotionally, but the sight of the first light breaking through the clouds offered a profound sense of relief and accomplishment. The chaos of the previous hours seemed to recede with the retreat of the storm, replaced by the calm of the early morning. As the gentle light of dawn touched the sea, it painted the scene with a sense of tranquil beauty that contrasted sharply with the night's turmoil. Adrian and Cale's shared exhaustion was tempered by a quiet triumph, the dawn's light serving as both a literal and figurative new beginning. The storm had tested their limits, but their combined efforts had seen them through, leaving them standing on the deck with a strengthened bond and a renewed sense of purpose. As they surveyed the now peaceful waters, the promise of a new day and the challenges that lay ahead were met with a resolve forged in the crucible of the storm. The morning light, casting its soft, golden hue over the sea serpent, symbolized not just the end of a grueling ordeal, but the beginning of a hopeful and determined journey forward. "That was one hell of a night," Adrian said, his voice carrying a mix of relief and exhaustion as he wiped the rain from his face. The storm had left its mark on him. His clothes were soaked, and his face was streaked with a combination of salt water and rain. The intense struggle against the tempest had tested every ounce of their endurance, but the sight of the storm receding and the dawn breaking through the clouds offered a profound sense of accomplishment. Adrian's words were a reflection of the grueling night's trials, capturing both the physical and emotional toll of the experience. As he spoke, Adrian's gaze swept over the now calm waters, the once turbulent sea now a vast expanse of gentle swells under the morning light. The ship, though battered, remained steadfast, a testament to their perseverance and the strength of their combined efforts. The ordeal had been severe, but they had managed to navigate through it, their teamwork and determination shining through the darkest hours of the night. Adrian's acknowledgement of their success was not just a personal victory but a collective one, recognizing the shared struggle and the triumph of overcoming the storm's fury. Cale, standing beside Adrian, offered a nod of agreement, his expression reflecting a mix of exhaustion and satisfaction. The night had been an arduous test, but their ability to weather the storm together had solidified their bond and demonstrated their resilience. As they stood at the bow of the sea serpent, the storm's aftermath began to settle into a new sense of calm and possibility. The morning light, now fully breaking through, signified not only the end of their immediate struggle but also a renewed hope for the journey that lay ahead. With the storm behind them, Adrian and Cale could now focus on the challenges and adventures that awaited, their spirits buoyed by the hard-won victory of surviving the night's tempest. Cale nodded, a weary smile touching his lips as he acknowledged Adrian's comment. The storm had been a fierce trial, but the smile on Cale's face was a testament to his resilience and the shared sense of accomplishment. Despite the exhaustion etched into his features, there was a glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. The night had tested their limits, but they had emerged victorious, and the bond forged in the crucible of their struggle had only strengthened their resolve. Cale's acknowledgement was a reminder of the journey they had undertaken and the progress they had made amidst the perilous trials they had faced. "We did," Cale continued, his voice steady despite the weariness that lingered. "And we're closer to our goal than ever." The statement carried a weight of truth, reflecting the significant progress they had achieved despite the challenges. The storm had been a formidable obstacle, but their survival and continued forward momentum underscored the advancement they had made toward their ultimate objective. Cale's words conveyed a sense of determination and forward-looking optimism, emphasizing that every danger encountered was a step closer to unraveling the mysteries and reaching the goal they had set out to achieve. "The dangers we've faced only show how much is at stake," Cale added, his gaze scanning the horizon where the first light of dawn had begun to break. The night's trials had underscored the magnitude of their quest and the formidable challenges that lay ahead. The storm's intensity had been a stark reminder of the powerful forces at play, both magical and natural, and the high stakes of their journey. Cale's reflection on their trials was a call to remain vigilant and resolute, acknowledging that the road ahead would continue to be fraught with peril, but also affirming their readiness to face whatever came next with unwavering determination. As they approached the final stretch of their journey, the Crimson Isles loomed ever closer, their enigmatic allure more palpable than ever. The islands, shrouded in a mist of legend and mystery, beckoned with an almost magnetic pull, their jagged silhouettes rising ominously against the horizon. The water surrounding them, once a churning maelstrom of chaos and danger, had calmed somewhat, yet they still held an air of treacherous unpredictability. The sight of the Crimson Isles, with their rugged and unwelcoming terrain, marked the culmination of their arduous voyage, a final challenge that loomed ahead with a blend of anticipation and apprehension. The treacherous waters they had navigated had tested their resolve and their bond in ways they had never anticipated. Each wave, each gust of wind, and each magical thread had pushed them to their limits, forging a stronger connection between them. The trials of the journey had been as much a test of their unity as their skill and endurance. Through the storm's fury, the magical perils, and the physical challenges, Adrian and Cale had supported each other steadfastly, their mutual trust and respect deepening with each obstacle they overcame. The crucible of their experiences had shaped them into a formidable team, their bond now a source of strength and resilience. Emerging from these trials, their determination remained unshaken, a beacon of hope and resolve as they faced the final leg of their journey. The dangers they had overcome had only heightened their sense of purpose, fueling their drive to confront the mysteries that lay within the Crimson Isles. The challenges they had faced together had reinforced their commitment to their goal, and as they approached the shores of the islands, their spirits were buoyed by the knowledge that they had already proven their ability to face whatever lay ahead. With the final stretch in sight, Adrian and Cale were ready to embrace the culmination of their quest, their hearts and minds steeled for the ultimate confrontation with the secrets and perils of the Crimson Isles. Adrian looked at Cale, his gaze reflecting a deepening respect that had grown with each passing day. The journey had been fraught with peril and uncertainty, but through it all, Cale's unwavering support and expertise had proven invaluable. The respect Adrian felt for Cale went beyond mere gratitude. It was a profound acknowledgement of the merfolk's skill, courage, and the crucial role he had played in their shared adventure. Cale's steadfast presence had been a constant source of strength, and as they neared the culmination of their quest, Adrian's appreciation for him had only deepened, a testament to the bond forged through their trials. "Thanks for having my back out there," Adrian said, his voice carrying a sincerity that mirrored his inner thoughts. The statement was more than just a simple thank you. It was an acknowledgement of the sacrifices and risks Cale had taken to ensure their success. Every challenge they had faced, from the treacherous waters to the magical threats, had been met with Cale's steadfast support and expert guidance. Adrian's gratitude was a reflection of his realization that their journey would have been far more perilous without Cale's bravery and resourcefulness. The weight of their shared experiences had cemented a mutual respect that transcended mere camaraderie. "I couldn't have done it without you," Adrian continued, his words underscoring the profound impact Cale had made on their journey. The trials they had endured together had highlighted not only Cale's skills but also his unwavering dedication and courage. Adrian's acknowledgement was a heartfelt testament to the crucial role Cale had played in their success. The journey had been a collaborative effort, and as they approached their goal, Adrian's recognition of Cale's contributions was a meaningful gesture of appreciation. Their shared experiences had solidified a deep bond, and Adrian's words were a reflection of the profound respect and gratitude he felt for the merfolk who had stood by him through every challenge. Cale met Adrian's gaze, his eyes reflecting a blend of gratitude and a growing sense of camaraderie. The journey had been a crucible of challenges, yet it had forged a bond between them that was as strong as it was unexpected. The respect Cale felt for Adrian was palpable, a recognition of the bravery and determination that Adrian had displayed throughout their quest. Each trial they faced had not only tested their individual strengths but also deepened their mutual understanding and connection. Cale's eyes, often so guarded, now held a warmth that spoke of the trust and respect that had blossomed between them. "And thank you for your bravery and skill," Cale said, his voice steady and sincere. The words were not merely a response but a heartfelt acknowledgement of Adrian's contributions to their shared success. Cale had witnessed firsthand the challenges Adrian had overcome, from steering the ship through perilous waters to confronting the myriad dangers that lurked in their path. Each act of bravery and each display of skill had been a crucial element in their journey, and Cale's gratitude was a reflection of his deep appreciation for Adrian's role in their partnership. The acknowledgement was a testament to the genuine respect Cale held for Adrian's unwavering resolve. "We're in this together now, and I wouldn't have it any other way," Cale continued, his voice carrying a note of finality and commitment. The journey had transformed their relationship from mere allies to true partners, bound by a shared purpose and forged in the fires of adversity. Cale's words were a declaration of the camaraderie they had built and a pledge to face whatever lay ahead as a united front. The sense of togetherness was now a cornerstone of their alliance, and Cale's sentiment reflected a deep-seated appreciation for the partnership they had developed. As they stood on the brink of their ultimate goal, Cale's declaration was a powerful affirmation of their mutual respect and shared resolve. As the sea serpent sailed steadily toward the heart of the Crimson Isles, the deepening bond between Adrian and Cale became increasingly apparent in their every action. The journey had been long and fraught with peril, but the trials they had faced together had nurtured a relationship that transcended the conventional boundaries of mere alliance. Each challenge they encountered, from navigating treacherous waters to confronting magical threats, had not only tested their skills but also reinforced their connection. The seamless way they worked together, anticipating each other's moves and complementing each other's strengths, was a testament to the strength of their partnership. Their partnership was founded on a bedrock of trust and mutual respect, elements that had been hard-earned through countless shared experiences. The respect Cale held for Adrian's bravery and skill was matched by Adrian's admiration for Cale's knowledge and resilience. This mutual regard had evolved into a profound trust, allowing them to rely on each other implicitly. The trials they had faced together had revealed the depth of their commitment to their shared goal, and their ability to support one another through the darkest moments had solidified their bond. The partnership they now shared was not just about navigating physical challenges, but also about an emotional connection that had grown stronger with each passing day. As they approached the heart of the Crimson Isles, their shared commitment to overcoming the trials ahead was evident in their interactions. The challenges that had initially seemed daunting were now met with a united front, their combined resolve making them more formidable than ever. The journey had transformed their alliance into a true partnership, one characterized by an unwavering dedication to each other and their mission. The camaraderie and mutual respect they had developed were palpable, turning every shared moment of triumph or adversity into a reinforcement of their bond. The way they moved forward, side by side, with a shared purpose and unspoken understanding, underscored the depth of their connection and their readiness to face whatever lay ahead. The journey through treacherous waters had pushed Adrian and Cale to their absolute limits, testing their endurance, skill, and resolve at every turn. The relentless challenges they faced, from the violent storms to the enigmatic magical threats, had been formidable and unforgiving. Yet, amidst the trials and tribulations, the adversity had also served to forge a deeper connection between them. The shared experiences, both harrowing and exhilarating, had transformed their relationship from mere collaborators into steadfast allies. Each obstacle surmounted and every danger navigated had woven their lives together in a complex tapestry of trust and mutual reliance. As the sea serpent approached the Crimson Isles, the looming destination symbolized not just the culmination of their arduous journey, but also the preparation they had undergone together. The proximity to their goal brought with it a sense of anticipation and readiness. Adrian and Cale, having weathered countless storms and navigated through myriad perils, stood poised to confront the final, crucial steps of their quest. The bond they had forged through their shared trials was now a wellspring of strength and determination, a testament to the resilience that had been built through their combined efforts. With the Crimson Isles within reach, Adrian and Cale were prepared to face whatever awaited them with unshakable resolve. The challenges they had previously encountered had honed their skills and fortified their spirit, making them a formidable team ready for the final stretch. Their bond, solidified through shared hardships, was as unyielding as the sea serpent itself, steadfast and resilient in the face of adversity. As they readied themselves for the ultimate confrontation with the mysteries and dangers of the Crimson Isles, the strength of their partnership was a source of confidence and courage, ensuring that they faced the unknown with a united front and unwavering determination. Chapter 12: A Rival Pirate Crew. The sea serpent cut through the calm waters of the Crimson Isles, its hull slicing smoothly through the serene surface. The ship's sails, once taut with the fierce winds of previous storms, now billowed gently in the soft, welcoming breeze that whispered across the deck. The tranquility of the moment was almost surreal, a stark contrast to the violent tempests and magical perils they had faced in the past. The water shimmered under the golden light of the sun, creating a peaceful tableau that seemed to promise a brief respite from their grueling journey. Adrian and Cale stood at the bow of the sea serpent, their vigilant eyes scanning the horizon with a mix of anticipation and caution. The calm waters around them were deceptive, a tranquil veneer that masked the potential dangers lurking beneath. Their experience had taught them never to underestimate the treacherous nature of the Crimson Isles, where even the slightest hint of calm could quickly give way to unforeseen threats. Despite the peaceful surroundings, both men remained alert, their focus sharp and their senses attuned to any signs of danger that might arise. The days of relentless storms and magical hazards seemed to have momentarily receded, giving way to this rare and peaceful interlude. The contrast was striking, a welcome change that provided a moment to catch their breath and reflect on their progress. Yet, the calm was not merely a pause but a preparatory phase before the final leg of their journey. As Adrian and Cale stood side by side, their bond and readiness were evident, preparing them for whatever challenges might lie ahead. The serenity of the waters offered a brief sanctuary, but their resolve remained unshaken, readying them for the trials that awaited as they neared the heart of the Crimson Isles. As they neared the narrow, mist-covered channel leading to the heart of the Crimson Isles, the tranquil atmosphere was abruptly interrupted by a sight that caused Adrian's keen eyes to narrow with concern. Emerging from the haze, a dark and ominous shape materialized against the horizon, its silhouette stark and foreboding. The mist seemed to swirl and thicken around the shadowy figure, lending an eerie quality to its presence. Adrian's trained gaze quickly assessed the situation, recognizing the potential threat that this mysterious entity posed as they edged closer to their destination. The sea serpent, undeterred by the sudden shift in the atmosphere, continued its steady course, cutting through the mist with determined precision. The ship's dark sails, which had previously blended with the turbulent skies, now stood out sharply against the pale, ghostly backdrop of the channel. The contrast between the ship's robust silhouette and the fragile serenity of the mist only heightened the sense of impending danger. Adrian's attention was fully captured by the approaching shape, his mind racing to piece together what it might signify for their journey. As the ominous black shape grew clearer on the horizon, the feeling of calm that had briefly settled over them was replaced by a palpable tension. The sight of the dark sails against the pale sky suggested that they were not alone in these waters, and the presence of another vessel, or something more sinister, brought a new layer of urgency to their approach. Adrian and Cale exchanged glances, their previous sense of ease replaced by a shared understanding of the new threat that loomed ahead. The serenity of the calm waters was now overshadowed by the shadowy figure, signaling that their journey through the Crimson Isles was far from over and that the final leg of their quest would demand their utmost vigilance. "Cale," Adrian said, his voice taut with concern, breaking the uneasy silence that had settled over them. His gaze was locked on the ominous shape against the horizon, his eyes reflecting the growing tension that pulsed through him. The normally composed captain's voice carried an edge of urgency as he pointed toward the dark silhouette emerging from the mist. Adrian's heart raced, the tranquility of the moment abruptly shattered by the appearance of the menacing figure. He needed Cale's insight and reassurance, fully aware that any threat that lay ahead could endanger their entire mission. Cale's sharp eyes followed Adrian's outstretched finger, his expression shifting from curiosity to focused intensity as he scrutinized the shadowy form. The mist clung to the shape, obscuring its full details but amplifying its menacing presence. The sight was enough to unsettle even the most experienced sailor, and Cale's demeanor reflected his quick assessment of the potential danger. He could feel the weight of Adrian's concern and the urgency of the situation, understanding that their journey was now on the brink of a critical challenge. The calm they had briefly enjoyed was now replaced by a looming sense of peril. With a deep breath, Cale turned to Adrian, his face set with determination and resolve. "I see it," he replied, his voice steady despite the situation's gravity. "We need to stay alert and prepare for whatever it might be." Cale's words were not just a response but a call to action, a reminder that their journey was about to take a dangerous turn. As the sea serpent continued its approach, the misty channel ahead promised uncertainty and potential threats. The sight of the dark shape was a stark reminder of the perilous nature of their quest, reinforcing the need for vigilance and readiness as they faced the next phase of their journey. Cale squinted through the thickening mist, his eyes narrowing as he tried to discern the details of the shadowy form against the horizon. His expression darkened with recognition, the seriousness of the situation becoming increasingly clear. The fog seemed to twist and curl around the silhouette, revealing just enough for Cale to identify the looming threat. The shape was unmistakably that of a ship, and the telltale signs, such as the dark, menacing outline and the ominous way it cut through the mist, left little doubt in his mind. The growing realization that they were facing a rival crew began to settle heavily upon him. "A rival crew," Cale said, his voice steady but grim. The words carried a weight of foreboding as he continued to watch the approaching vessel. "It's a pirate ship, and it's heading straight for us." The confirmation of their worst fears heightened the tension aboard the Sea Serpent. Cale's knowledge of pirate ships and their tactics made the threat all too real. The sight of the dark sails and the aggressive approach of the rival vessel signaled an imminent confrontation. The pirates' intent was clear. They were preparing to engage, and Cale's mind raced with the implications of such a conflict. The implications of Cale's revelation were immediate and dire. Adrian, who had been focusing on the horizon with mounting concern, now turned to Cale, their earlier plans and momentary calm replaced by a pressing need for action. The Sea Serpent, despite its resilience and their previous triumphs, faced a formidable challenge ahead. Cale's alertness and swift identification of the threat were crucial in preparing them for the impending clash. With the pirate ship bearing down on them, the crew's readiness and strategic response would determine their ability to navigate this new peril and safeguard their quest. Adrian's grip tightened on the ship's wheel, his knuckles turning white as he faced the looming threat. The realization that the approaching vessel was a pirate ship seeking the same treasure they were made his pulse quicken. The steady, rhythmic movement of the Sea Serpent felt increasingly precarious with each passing moment as the pirate ship drew nearer. Adrian's thoughts raced as he weighed their options, knowing that their quest had just become exponentially more dangerous. The stakes were no longer just about reaching their destination but also about defending their claim to the prize they had risked so much to find. "We need to be prepared," Adrian said, his voice low but firm, carrying an edge of urgency. The implications of facing a rival crew were significant. It meant they would have to not only outmaneuver the pirates, but also protect themselves and the ship from potential attack. Adrian's mind quickly shifted to battle readiness, assessing the ship's defenses and preparing his crew for a confrontation. The sight of the pirate ship's dark sails, now unmistakably clear against the mist, underscored the gravity of the situation. Each second counted as they braced for the imminent clash, knowing that every decision and action would be crucial to their survival. As Adrian's gaze remained fixed on the approaching threat, he could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The Sea Serpent was more than just a vessel. It was their lifeline and symbol of their journey's success. The crew's safety and the success of their quest hinged on their ability to confront and overcome the pirates. Adrian's resolve hardened as he prepared to issue orders and coordinate their defense, fully aware that the upcoming confrontation would test their mettle and determine the fate of their treasure hunt. With the pirate ship closing in, the Sea Serpent and its crew were on the brink of a critical and decisive encounter. As the ships drew closer, the pirate vessel's dark figure emerged with increasing clarity through the encroaching mist. It was a menacing sight, its imposing hull scarred and battered from countless encounters. The vessel bore the marks of a fierce and relentless pirate crew, its exterior a testament to years of hard-fought battles and aggressive plundering. The skull and crossbones flag fluttered defiantly from the mast, a stark and provocative symbol of the pirates' lawless intent. This grim emblem fluttered proudly against the foggy backdrop, a clear declaration of their hostile intentions and dominance over these treacherous waters. The contrast between the two ships was striking. While the Sea Serpent was sleek and fast, designed for agility and swift navigation, the pirate ship was a formidable adversary, larger and more heavily armed. Its bulk was evident as it cut through the water with a menacing, deliberate grace. The sight of its broad, menacing hull and the array of cannons and weaponry mounted along its sides made it clear that the pirates were prepared for a fight. The disparity in their respective sizes and armament posed a significant challenge, underscoring the urgent need for Adrian and Cale to strategize and fortify their defenses. As the gap between the ships continued to close, the reality of the impending confrontation settled heavily upon the Sea Serpent's crew. The pirate vessel's size and firepower presented a formidable obstacle that could not be easily overcome. The stark visual contrast between the two ships highlighted the immediate danger they faced, and the stakes of their quest were now painfully evident. Adrian and Cale, fully aware of the challenges ahead, prepared themselves and their crew for the fierce battle that was about to ensue. The calm that had once characterized their journey was replaced by a palpable tension as they braced for the pirate ship's assault, determined to protect their ship and their mission at all costs. As the pirate ship drew ever closer, its ominous presence was further amplified by a loud, commanding voice that boomed across the water. The sound was authoritative and brash, cutting through the mist with a startling clarity. "Ahoy there, Sea Serpent!" the voice echoed, dripping with arrogance and menace. The challenge was unmistakable, a blatant attempt to intimidate and assert dominance over Adrian and Cale. The pirates' words were not just a warning but a declaration of their intent to lay claim to the treasure, as if they alone had the right to possess it. The crew of the Sea Serpent, already on high alert, felt the weight of the pirates' words as they reverberated across the deck. Adrian's jaw tightened, his gaze narrowing at the approaching threat. The pirates' audacious challenge was a direct provocation, designed to unsettle and coerce. The tone of the message conveyed both a sense of superiority and a clear threat, underscoring the gravity of the confrontation they were about to face. The call to turn back was not merely a suggestion but a demand, one that implied dire consequences if they chose to defy it. Cale, standing beside Adrian, scanned the pirate ship with a steely resolve. The boastful taunt only served to further fuel their determination. The voice had been a calculated move, a strategic play to undermine their confidence and force a retreat. However, instead of dissuading them, it solidified their resolve to press forward. With the pirate ship's dark sails looming ever larger and the challenge still ringing in their ears, Adrian and Cale braced themselves for the imminent battle. The Sea Serpent's crew readied their weapons and prepared their defenses, knowing that the confrontation would test their mettle and resolve to secure the treasure they had come so far to find. Adrian and Cale exchanged a knowing glance, their silent communication conveying the unspoken understanding that any attempt at negotiation would likely be futile. The gravity of the situation was clear, and both men were acutely aware that their adversaries were not inclined toward diplomatic solutions. The rival pirate crew, notorious across the seas, was led by the infamous Captain Rourke, a figure renowned for his relentless and ruthless pursuit of treasure. The mere mention of Rourke's name was enough to evoke fear and respect among those who knew of his reputation, and the grim reality of their predicament began to set in. Captain Rourke's name was synonymous with brutality and aggression, and the tales of his exploits were well known among sailors and adventurers alike. His crew was notorious for their merciless tactics and their readiness to resort to violence to claim their prize. The legend of Rourke's ruthless approach had preceded him, painting a clear picture of the kind of encounter Adrian and Cale were facing. The pirate captain's reputation for dealing harshly with those who crossed his path only reinforced the dire nature of their current situation. With the realization that negotiation was a distant hope, Adrian and Cale prepared themselves for the inevitable confrontation. The need to defend their claim and protect their ship was paramount, and they knew that the coming battle would test their strategic skills and resolve. The Sea Serpent's crew braced for the clash, their anticipation mingled with a steely determination to overcome the formidable threat posed by Captain Rourke and his crew. As the pirate ship continued to advance, Adrian and Cale focused on their preparations, readying themselves for the fight that lay ahead and the crucial decisions that would shape the outcome of their perilous quest. Adrian's voice rang out across the deck, cutting through the tension that had enveloped the Sea Serpent. His command was sharp and authoritative, rallying his crew into immediate action. "All hands on deck!" he shouted, his tone brooking no argument. The urgency in his voice spurred the crew into motion as they quickly assembled, their faces set with determination. Ropes were tightened, weapons were readied, and the crew moved with practiced efficiency, preparing for the very real possibility of a boarding action. The air was thick with anticipation as every member of the crew assumed their defensive positions, each one aware of the gravity of the situation. Turning to Cale, Adrian's gaze was intense, reflecting both concern and reliance. "Prepare for possible boarders," he instructed, his voice steady despite the underlying tension. "Cale, can you hold off any magical attacks they might throw at us?" The question was not merely a request but a critical element of their defensive strategy. Cale's expertise in sea magic had proven invaluable, and Adrian was counting on him to counter any arcane threats the pirates might unleash. The promise of magical assaults added a layer of complexity to their defense, and Adrian's trust in Cale's abilities was crucial for their survival. Cale nodded, his expression resolute as he prepared to face the magical onslaught. His eyes were focused and determined as he assessed the approaching threat. "I'll do my best," he replied, his voice carrying a note of calm assurance. With practiced movements, he began to gather his magical energy, preparing defensive spells that would form a barrier against any magical attacks. As the crew readied themselves for the physical confrontation, Cale's role became equally vital in ensuring their protection from the supernatural dangers that Captain Rourke's crew might bring. Together, Adrian and Cale's coordinated efforts would be key in safeguarding the Sea Serpent and its crew from the imminent pirate threat. Cale nodded with a firm expression, his face set in determination. "I'll do what I can," he assured Adrian, his voice carrying a note of unwavering resolve. He understood the gravity of the situation and the importance of his role in the impending confrontation. Cale's preparation for the magical defense was meticulous, his mind already racing through the incantations and protective spells that might be needed. The urgency in his tone reflected the seriousness of the threat they faced, and he was prepared to deploy every ounce of his magical expertise to protect the Sea Serpent and its crew. "But be ready for anything," Cale continued, his eyes narrowing with concern. "Captain Rourke is known for his cunning." The warning carried weight, as Cale was acutely aware of the pirate captain's reputation for devious tactics and strategic ingenuity. Rourke's cunning was legendary, and Cale's experience had taught him that facing such an adversary required not just raw power but also adaptability and foresight. The pirates were likely to employ unexpected strategies, and Cale wanted to ensure that Adrian and the crew were mentally prepared for the full range of potential threats. As Cale set about his preparations, he couldn't shake the unease that accompanied the knowledge of facing such a formidable opponent. The air around him crackled with magical energy as he wove protective wards and barriers, each spell meticulously designed to counteract the unpredictable nature of Rourke's tactics. The crew, though visibly tense, moved with practiced efficiency under Adrian's command, their readiness reflecting their trust in Cale's abilities. Together, they braced themselves for the cunning tactics and ruthless aggression of Captain Rourke, knowing that their combined efforts and vigilance would be crucial in navigating the perilous confrontation that lay ahead. As the pirate ship drew alongside the Sea Serpent, the atmosphere grew tense with the imminent threat of an assault. Suddenly, a series of grappling hooks soared through the air with a sharp, metallic clang, catching onto the Sea Serpent's rails with practiced precision. The sound of the hooks embedding into the wooden planks was a stark, foreboding signal of the pirates' intent to board. The crew's readiness for combat heightened as they prepared to repel the attackers, their eyes darting nervously toward the pirates who were now closing in on their position. The pirates, led by the infamous Captain Rourke himself, began their aggressive boarding maneuver with menacing grins plastered across their faces. Rourke stood at the forefront, a formidable figure with a commanding presence that was both intimidating and authoritative. His crew followed closely behind, their faces set with a mix of anticipation and malevolence. Each pirate was armed to the teeth, brandishing swords, axes, and pistols with a readiness that spoke to their combat experience and ruthless nature. The sight of them climbing over the rails, their weapons gleaming ominously, underscored the imminent clash that would soon erupt on the deck. Adrian and Cale, positioned at key points on the deck, readied themselves for the confrontation. Adrian's orders rang out sharply over the din of the approaching melee, directing his crew to defend their position and counter the pirate boarders. Cale stood prepared to deploy his magical defenses, his hands moving in intricate patterns as he prepared to shield the ship from any further magical onslaught. The Sea Serpent's crew, though outnumbered, braced for the fierce battle ahead, their determination as palpable as the danger that now loomed over them. As the pirates made their final approach, the deck of the Sea Serpent became a battleground, where the outcome of their perilous quest would be decided in a clash of steel and magic. Captain Rourke made a dramatic entrance as he landed on the Sea Serpent's deck with a heavy thud, the impact reverberating through the ship's wooden planks. His imposing figure, clad in a dark, weather-beaten coat and adorned with an assortment of weaponry, commanded immediate attention. A long, jagged scar ran down the side of his face, a brutal reminder of past battles and his merciless nature. The scar was a stark visual of the pirate's ruthless reputation, and it seemed to enhance the ferocity of his already formidable presence. With a practiced, almost theatrical flourish, Rourke adjusted his tricorn hat, a gesture that exuded both confidence and arrogance. The hat, decorated with a feather and a tarnished gold band, sat at a jaunty angle atop his head, further accentuating his larger-than-life persona. His eyes, cold and calculating, swept over the deck with a meticulous, predatory gaze. He surveyed Adrian and Cale with a piercing intensity, assessing them as if they were mere obstacles to be dealt with rather than formidable adversaries. The gaze was as sharp and unforgiving as the blade he carried at his side. As Rourke took in the scene before him, the tension on the deck of the Sea Serpent became almost tangible. The crew, bracing for the inevitable clash, felt the weight of the pirate captain's scrutiny, their resolve steeling in response. Adrian and Cale, positioned firmly against the approaching threat, met Rourke's gaze with their own determined expressions. The standoff was charged with a sense of imminent conflict, the stage set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of their perilous quest. The cold calculation in Rourke's eyes was a clear signal that the battle ahead would be as ruthless and cunning as the man himself. Captain Rourke's sneer widened as he surveyed Adrian and Cale, his voice dripping with contempt. "Well, well," he drawled, the words carrying a mocking lilt that reverberated across the deck. His eyes gleamed with a predatory glint as he took in the determined expressions of his adversaries. The casual demeanor with which he spoke contrasted sharply with the tension of the moment, reflecting his confidence and disdain for the crew he faced. The pirate captain's relaxed stance belied the dangerous edge underlying his words, a calculated attempt to unsettle and intimidate. Rourke's gaze locked onto Adrian and Cale, the gleaming scar on his face adding a cruel emphasis to his smirk. "Looks like we've got ourselves some competition," he continued, his tone carrying an air of dismissive amusement. His words were more than just taunts, they were a deliberate attempt to undermine their resolve and assert dominance. The ease with which he spoke of their challenge revealed his confidence in his own superiority, and his belief that their resistance would be futile. It was a verbal volley designed to provoke a reaction, to test the mettle of those standing in his way. As Rourke's demand followed, the gravity of his intentions became clear. "I hope you're prepared to make this easy on yourselves and hand over the map to the treasure," he declared, his voice carrying a tone of finality. The request was not merely an invitation but a veiled threat, underscoring the high stakes of the encounter. The demand for the map was not just a tactical maneuver, it was a declaration of his intent to claim victory by any means necessary. Adrian and Cale, their faces set in grim determination, understood the weight of the ultimatum and prepared themselves for the confrontation that would decide the outcome of their perilous quest. Adrian stepped forward, his presence commanding immediate attention as he placed a firm hand on the hilt of his sword. The gesture was both deliberate and resolute, signaling his readiness for the confrontation that lay ahead. His stance was unwavering, the muscles in his arms and shoulders tensed with the anticipation of battle. The gleam of his sword, partially exposed from its scabbard, caught the dim light of the ship's lanterns, casting a determined glint that mirrored his unyielding resolve. Adrian's expression was set in a grim line, reflecting his unwillingness to back down or surrender their hard-earned prize. "We're not in the habit of giving up what we've worked for," Adrian declared, his voice steady and filled with quiet determination. The words carried a weight of defiance, underscoring the deep commitment he and his crew had to their quest. His refusal to yield was not just a personal stance, but a reflection of the collective resolve of the Sea Serpent's crew. Each member had invested their efforts and bravery into reaching this point, and Adrian's declaration was a testament to their shared determination. The declaration was clear: they would not relinquish their hard-won treasure without a fight. "If it's a fight you want," Adrian continued, his gaze locking on to Captain Rourke with unwavering resolve, "then we'll give you one." The challenge was both direct and resolute, an unequivocal declaration of their readiness to defend their claim. Adrian's voice carried the promise of a fierce resistance, and his stance reflected a readiness to confront Rourke and his crew with every ounce of their combined strength. The atmosphere around them crackled with tension as both sides prepared for the inevitable clash, each man steeling himself for the confrontation that would determine the fate of the treasure and their quest. Rourke's chuckle rumbled through the air, a sound that was as unsettling as it was confident. His laughter, rich with malice, seemed to echo across the deck, mingling with the creaking of the Sea Serpent and the distant crash of waves. With a deliberate and theatrical flourish, Rourke drew his cutlass, the blade catching the light and reflecting a cold, deadly gleam. The sight of the weapon, sharp and menacing, was a clear indication of his readiness for the confrontation. Rourke's demeanor, marked by a blend of amusement and menace, suggested that he relished the impending conflict. "Very well, if it's a fight you want," Rourke said, his voice steady as he brandished the cutlass. "Then a fight you'll get." The words were spoken with a casual arrogance, as though the outcome of the battle was a foregone conclusion. His tone conveyed a blend of eagerness and disdain, as if he viewed the confrontation as an entertaining diversion rather than a serious threat. The readiness with which he accepted the challenge underscored his confidence in his own prowess and his crew's abilities. To Rourke, the clash seemed less like a struggle and more like an opportunity for enjoyment. "My crew will enjoy the challenge," Rourke added with a smirk, his eyes sweeping over the assembled pirates. The statement was more than a mere boast. It was a declaration of the crew's anticipated dominance. Rourke's confidence in his crew was evident, his belief in their combat skills bolstered by their reputation for ruthlessness and effectiveness. The air grew thick with tension as the two sides prepared for battle, each ready to prove their mettle in the fight for the treasure that lay ahead. The stage was set for a clash of wills and skill, with the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. As the pirate crew surged forward with menacing intent, the air on the Sea Serpent's deck crackled with the violent clash of steel and the roar of battle. The once calm and methodical atmosphere transformed into a frenetic storm of chaos and conflict. Swords clanged against swords, the harsh metallic sounds mingling with shouts and curses as the pirates and the Sea Serpent's crew engaged in a fierce struggle. The deck, usually a place of navigation and camaraderie, became a battleground where every inch of space was contested. Adrian and Cale fought side by side, their movements seamlessly synchronized in a deadly dance of defense and counterattack. Adrian's sword flashed with practiced precision, his strikes both powerful and measured, each swing designed to fend off the aggressive pirates. Beside him, Cale's magical defenses flared, conjuring barriers and counterspells that deflected incoming blows and disrupted the pirates' advances. The two's coordination was a testament to the bond they had forged, their actions a fluid extension of each other's strengths. Their combat styles complemented one another perfectly, creating a formidable defense against the relentless onslaught. The deck was alive with the intensity of the battle, each clash of blades and burst of magic contributing to the frenetic energy of the fight. Adrian's leadership and Cale's arcane prowess turned the tide, pushing back against the pirate crew's initial surge. The sight of the two fighting in unison, their trust and skill evident in every maneuver, inspired their own crew and added a layer of cohesion to the defense. The struggle for dominance on the Sea Serpent was a testament to the high stakes of their quest and the strength of their resolve, as each side fought fiercely for the treasure that lay beyond the mist-covered horizon. Cale's magic flared brightly amidst the chaos, a beacon of arcane power that cut through the turmoil on the Sea Serpent's deck. His hands moved with practiced grace, weaving intricate patterns in the air as he conjured protective barriers that shimmered with a radiant light. Each barrier formed a shimmering shield against the onslaught of pirates, deflecting their strikes and creating a brief respite in the melee. Simultaneously, Kale unleashed bursts of energy, vibrant and explosive, that surged forward and pushed back the advancing pirates. The magical explosions created gaps in the enemy lines, giving the Sea Serpent's crew a chance to regroup and counterattack. Adrian fought with a blend of skill and tactical acumen, his every move a testament to his experience and leadership. His sword flashed in the dim light, its blade cutting through the air with precise, controlled strikes. Each swing was a calculated effort, aimed to disarm or incapacitate his foes rather than simply cause injury. Adrian's strategy was evident in the way he directed his crew, his shouts and commands cutting through the cacophony of battle. He coordinated their efforts, ensuring they exploited the openings created by Kale's magic and maintained a defensive formation that kept the pirates at bay. The synergy between Kale's magical prowess and Adrian's tactical expertise created a formidable resistance against the pirate assault. The deck of the Sea Serpent became a dynamic arena of light and steel, where each spell and sword stroke contributed to the defense of their ship. As Kale's protective barriers flickered and energy blasts roared, Adrian's leadership ensured that every member of his crew fought with purpose and precision. Together, they forged a strong front, their combined efforts turning the tide of the battle and demonstrating the depth of their partnership and resolve in the face of the pirate threat. The battle raged on with a relentless fury, the Sea Serpent rocking violently as the two ships clashed in a maelstrom of conflict. The once steady deck now heaved with the force of cannonballs striking with thunderous impacts. Each shot reverberated through the ship's hull, causing splintered wood to fly in all directions and sending debris cascading into the churning sea below. The powerful explosions from the cannons added a deafening roar to the chaos, their vibrations shaking the very timbers of the Sea Serpent as if trying to tear the vessel apart from within. Cannonballs whistled through the air with lethal speed, their trajectories marked by trails of smoke and fire. The ship's once pristine wooden planks were now marred by the violent impacts, with holes and gashes marring the surface as the cannon fire continued unabated. The crew scrambled to repair the damage and keep the ship afloat, their efforts hampered by the ongoing barrage. The once calm and navigable waters around them had transformed into a turbulent battleground, with waves crashing wildly against the sides of the ships and adding to the pandemonium of the fight. The sea itself seemed to be in upheaval, mirroring the chaos on the deck. Waves churned and froth boiled as if stirred by the violence of the clash. The once orderly waters were now a chaotic expanse of swirling currents and splashing spray, with the surface intermittently illuminated by flashes of cannon fire and bursts of magical energy. The tumultuous sea reflected the disorder of the battle, its roiling depths a fitting backdrop to the fierce struggle between the Sea Serpent and the pirate vessel. The chaotic environment only added to the intensity of the fight, underscoring the high stakes and the desperate efforts of both crews to emerge victorious. In the midst of the fray, Captain Rourke made his way through the tumultuous battle to confront Adrian directly. The two leaders met on the deck, their swords drawn and ready. Their blades clashed with a series of sharp, ringing strikes, each impact resonating through the air with a metallic clang. The intensity of their duel was palpable, as the force of their strikes sent sparks flying with every collision. The noise of the surrounding battle seemed to fade, narrowing the focus to their high-stakes confrontation. "You're a stubborn one, I'll give you that," Rourke growled, his voice a low, gravelly rasp that cut through the din of combat. His eyes, cold and steely, locked onto Adrian with a mix of admiration and disdain. The pirate captain's strength and skill were evident in his aggressive, yet controlled, attacks. Each swing of his cutlass was delivered with practiced precision, aimed to exploit any openings in Adrian's defense. The physical and verbal exchange highlighted Rourke's frustration and respect for Adrian's tenacity. "But stubbornness won't save you from what's coming," Rourke continued, his voice dripping with menace. The threat hung heavily in the air, underscoring the gravity of their duel. As the two men continued their fierce engagement, their swords moved in a deadly dance, each trying to outmaneuver the other. Rourke's declaration was not just a taunt but a promise of the relentless challenge Adrian faced. The outcome of their fight would determine not only their personal struggle but also the fate of the treasure and their respective crews. Adrian gritted his teeth, the determination in his eyes hardening as he pushed back against Rourke's relentless attacks. His grip tightened on his sword, each movement a testament to his resolve. The pirate captain's aggressive strikes were met with a steadfast defense, as Adrian's blade intercepted each blow with a fierce resolve. The clash of their swords rang out with a heightened intensity, echoing the unyielding spirit of Adrian's commitment to their quest. He channeled every ounce of his strength and skill into his counterattacks, driven by the knowledge of how close they were to their goal. "We're not backing down," Adrian declared through clenched teeth, his voice firm and resolute despite the chaos surrounding them. His words were more than a declaration of defiance. They were a promise of unwavering dedication. The battle raged on around them, but Adrian's focus remained solely on the confrontation with Rourke. Each swing of his sword was accompanied by a fierce determination to protect the treasure and their mission. The weight of his commitment was evident in the way he stood his ground, refusing to yield to the pirate captain's threats. "We're closer to the treasure than you think," Adrian continued, his voice carrying a note of grim determination. The assertion was both a challenge and a warning, underscoring the stakes of their struggle. The prospect of the treasure was not just a material prize but a symbol of their arduous journey and the sacrifices they had made. Adrian's words reflected a deep-seated belief in their cause and a refusal to let Rourke's threats or the pirates' aggression deter them. As the duel continued, Adrian's resolve remained unshaken, a testament to his unbreakable spirit and the fierce protection of the treasure they sought. The fight on the deck was fierce, each clash of steel and burst of magic intensifying the struggle between the Sea Serpent's crew and Captain Rourke's men. The chaotic scene of battle was illuminated by the flashes of steel and the crackling of arcane energy, with every crew member fighting to their utmost. Despite the ferocity of Rourke's tactics, it became clear that Adrian and Cale's synchronized efforts were making a significant impact. Their teamwork, honed through shared trials and mutual respect, began to overpower Rourke's ruthless and disorganized aggression. As the battle raged, the tide began to shift in favor of Adrian and Cale. Their coordinated attacks created openings that disrupted Rourke's offensive strategies. Adrian's blade, guided by both skill and instinct, found its mark with increasing precision. Cale's protective spells and bursts of magical energy provided crucial support, clearing paths and bolstering their defenses. The synergy between Adrian's swordsmanship and Cale's magic became a powerful force, slowly breaking through Rourke's defenses and turning the momentum of the fight. In a climactic moment of the duel, Adrian delivered a final, decisive strike that proved pivotal. With a powerful swing, he knocked Captain Rourke off balance, sending him sprawling to the deck in a dramatic fall. The impact of the strike was both literal and symbolic, marking a turning point in the battle. Rourke's fall was met with a roar of triumph from Adrian's crew, their renewed vigor fueled by the sight of their leader gaining the upper hand. The sight of the pirate captain sprawled on the deck signaled a significant victory in their fierce confrontation. As Captain Rourke lay defeated on the deck, the sight of their leader's downfall caused a palpable shift in the morale of the remaining pirates. Their initial resolve faltered as they witnessed the tide of battle turning decisively against them. The once aggressive and confident pirates hesitated, their eyes darting nervously between the victorious crew of the Sea Serpent and their fallen captain. The realization of their precarious situation began to sink in, and the weight of their impending defeat became increasingly apparent. In a frantic scramble, many pirates began to retreat, their movements chaotic and disorganized. They abandoned their efforts to fight and dashed back to their own ship with desperate urgency, seeking refuge from the escalating danger. The once disciplined lines of the pirate crew dissolved into a frenzy of survival instincts as they fought to escape the defeat looming over them. The sight of their comrades fleeing and the relentless pressure from Adrian and Cale's crew drove home the inevitability of their defeat. The remaining pirates, witnessing the growing exodus of their fellows and the futility of their position, soon followed suit. Their resolve crumbled under the combined force of Adrian's tactical prowess and Cale's magical defense. With a collective sense of resignation, they abandoned their fight and joined the retreat, leaving the Sea Serpent to claim its hard-won victory. The deck of the Sea Serpent, once a battleground, was now marked by the retreating figures of the defeated pirates, signaling the end of a fierce and tumultuous clash. As the last of the pirates fled, Adrian and Cale stood amidst the remnants of the fierce confrontation, taking a moment to catch their breath. The deck of the Sea Serpent was a testament to the intensity of the battle. Scattered across the wooden planks were fragments of broken crates, tangled rigging, and the discarded weapons of the defeated. The once pristine ship now bore the marks of conflict, with splintered wood and bloodstains serving as stark reminders of the chaos that had just transpired. Despite the destruction, there was a profound sense of relief and triumph in the air. Adrian and Cale, both visibly exhausted but resolute, surveyed the aftermath of the battle with a mixture of satisfaction and weariness. Their faces, illuminated by the early morning light, showed the strains of the fight but also the pride of having defended their ship and mission. The calm after the storm brought with it a stillness that contrasted sharply with the earlier chaos. The sounds of the retreating pirates and the creaking of the ship's wood were the only reminders of the skirmish that had just occurred. Despite the devastation around them, the Sea Serpent remained remarkably intact. The ship had withstood the violent assault and the numerous cannonballs that had whistled through the air, leaving it battered but seaworthy. The crew, though weary, had managed to keep the vessel afloat and functional through the tumult. Adrian and Cale exchanged a look of mutual respect, silently acknowledging the strength of their bond and the resilience of their ship. The victory was theirs, and as they took in the scene, they were ready to move forward with renewed determination. Adrian wiped sweat and blood from his brow, the gravity of their close call settling heavily upon him. His expression was a mix of exhaustion and concern as he took in the aftermath of the battle. The skirmish with Captain Rourke and his crew had been a brutal and taxing ordeal, and the close proximity of their defeat underscored the perilous nature of their mission. The remnants of the fight, the scattered debris, the broken rigging, and the lingering tension in the air, served as stark reminders of how narrowly they had escaped disaster. "We need to be more vigilant," Adrian continued, his voice tinged with a sense of urgency. The battle had been a harsh wake-up call, revealing the dangers that lurked not just in the form of rival pirates, but potentially other threats as well. His gaze swept across the horizon, searching for any signs of further danger. The encounter with Rourke had shown that their quest was not only a race against time but also a battle against those who would stop at nothing to claim the treasure for themselves. Adrian's mind was already turning over strategies for increasing their defenses and ensuring their continued safety. "If Rourke found us," Adrian said, his tone resolute, "others might too." The implication was clear. Their presence in the Crimson Isles was no longer a secret, and they could expect more challenges as they drew closer to their goal. The pirate captain's pursuit had been relentless, and the fact that they had come so close to being overpowered meant they needed to anticipate similar threats. Adrian's resolve was unshaken, but he understood that vigilance and preparation were now more crucial than ever. With the weight of their recent struggle on his shoulders, he knew that every decision and every action from this point forward would be critical to their success. Cale nodded, his expression thoughtful as he considered the implications of their recent battle. The tension in his gaze revealed his deep understanding of the situation. "Agreed," he said, his voice carrying a tone of gravitas. The treasure they sought was not merely a valuable artifact but a source of immense power that was bound to draw the interest of others. The power and allure of the treasure made it a beacon for those with less noble intentions, and Cale's awareness of this only heightened the urgency of their quest. "The treasure we seek is powerful," Cale continued, his eyes scanning the horizon as if expecting more threats to emerge from the mist. "It's bound to attract more attention." His words underscored the reality that their journey was fraught with danger not only from the elements, but also from rival factions eager to seize the prize for themselves. The magical allure of the treasure added another layer of complexity to their mission, as its very nature made it a target for those who would do anything to obtain it. The stakes had become even higher with the knowledge that they were not the only ones vying for the treasure. "We must continue with caution," Cale said, his tone firm and resolute, "and stay one step ahead of those who would seek to claim it for themselves." His emphasis on vigilance and strategy reflected the seriousness of their situation. The recent encounter with Captain Rourke had been a stark reminder of the dangers they faced, and Cale understood that maintaining their edge required constant alertness and careful planning. As they moved forward, every decision would be crucial in ensuring their success and protecting the treasure from falling into the wrong hands. As the sea serpent continued its journey through the treacherous waters of the Crimson Isles, the lingering threat of the rival pirate crew cast a new shadow over their quest. The aftermath of the recent battle had underscored the ever-present danger that accompanied their pursuit of the treasure. The sea, once a vast expanse of possibility, now felt more ominous, its potential hazards amplified by the knowledge that other forces were actively seeking the same prize. The looming presence of rival pirates added a constant tension to their journey, a reminder that their path was fraught with peril. However, the victory they had achieved against Captain Rourke's crew had done more than merely secure their ship. It had solidified their resolve and fortified their partnership. Adrian and Cale's shared experience in the heat of battle had deepened their bond, transforming their alliance into a true partnership. The trials they had faced together had not only tested their skills but also reinforced their trust in one another. Their ability to work in unison, combining Adrian's strategic acumen with Cale's magical prowess, had proven to be a formidable force against their enemies. With their newfound confidence and strengthened resolve, Adrian and Cale prepared to tackle the challenges that lay ahead. They knew that the journey through the Crimson Isles would be anything but easy, with further obstacles and dangers likely to confront them. Yet, their shared commitment to the quest and their enhanced partnership made them ready to face whatever came next. As the sea serpents sailed onward, their determination remained unshaken, fueled by the knowledge that their combined skills and unwavering focus would see them through the trials yet to come. The treasure they sought was tantalizingly close, a beacon of both promise and peril on the horizon. Despite the many threats and obstacles that had emerged along their journey, Adrian and Cale remained resolutely focused on their mission. The challenges they faced were daunting, but the prospect of achieving their goal kept their spirits high. Each obstacle, from treacherous waters to fierce rivalries, only fueled their determination to press forward. The confrontation with Captain Rourke had been a significant test of their mettle, highlighting the dangerous and competitive nature of their quest. Yet, rather than weakening their resolve, the rivalry had only strengthened their commitment. The encounter served as a stark reminder of the stakes involved and the lengths to which others would go to claim the treasure. The battle had solidified their partnership, demonstrating the power of their combined strengths in overcoming formidable challenges. As they continued their journey, the bond between Adrian and Cale grew stronger with each passing day. Their shared experiences and mutual support had become the bedrock of their success. They were no longer just allies but a unified force capable of facing whatever trials awaited them. With the treasure within reach and their resolve unwavering, they prepared to confront the final challenges ahead, confident that their deepened connection and steadfast determination would guide them to victory. Chapter 13: An Unexpected Attack. The Crimson Isles loomed ever closer on the horizon, their dark and jagged peaks cutting sharply into the sky like the teeth of some monstrous creature. The stark silhouette of the Isles, rising ominously from the sea, was a constant reminder of the challenges that awaited them. Adrian and Cale stood at the bow of the sea serpent, their gazes fixed intently on the formidable landscape ahead. The grandeur of the Isles, with their craggy outlines and shrouded mystery, was both awe-inspiring and foreboding, setting the stage for the final stretch of their journey. As the sea serpent glided steadily through the treacherous waters, the calm surface of the sea seemed almost mocking in its tranquility. The ship moved with a smooth, measured grace, its sails billowing softly in the breeze. The serene conditions contrasted sharply with the turbulent events they had just endured. The earlier battle with Captain Rourke's crew had heightened their sense of vigilance, leaving them acutely aware of the potential dangers lurking in the shadows. The calm waters did little to ease their tension, serving as a deceptive veneer over the chaos that had unfolded and the perils yet to come. The contrast between the peaceful sea and the tension on deck underscored the precarious nature of their mission. Adrian and Cale, though momentarily lulled by the tranquil surroundings, remained on high alert. The earlier skirmish had instilled a heightened sense of readiness, and their focus was unwavering despite the outward calm. Every creak of the ship and every ripple on the water was scrutinized with meticulous care. The peaceful surface belied the storm of uncertainty and danger that lay ahead, and both men knew that their journey through the Crimson Isles would test their resolve in ways they could scarcely predict. Below deck, Cale immersed himself in a world of arcane knowledge and forgotten lore. Surrounded by ancient texts and magical artifacts, he meticulously examined each clue that might lead them to the coveted treasure. The dim light of the lanterns flickered across his focused face as he deciphered cryptic inscriptions and traced the patterns of long-forgotten spells. Each scroll and tome was a piece of the puzzle, and Cale's intense concentration spoke to the gravity of their quest. His fingers moved with practiced precision over the aged parchment, revealing insights that could be the key to their success. Meanwhile, on the deck of the Sea Serpent, Adrian took his position at the wheel, his gaze firmly fixed on the horizon. The early morning light cast a soft glow over the waters, but Adrian's expression remained steely and alert. His hands gripped the wheel with a steady resolve, steering the ship through the labyrinthine channels of the Crimson Isles. The vast expanse of the ocean seemed both daunting and invigorating, and Adrian's wariness was matched only by his determination to see their mission through. Every shift in the wind or change in the sea's surface was noted with a keen eye, a testament to his unwavering focus. The division of their tasks spoke to the efficiency and dedication of their partnership. While Cale delved into the mystical depths of their quest below deck, Adrian kept a vigilant watch over their immediate surroundings. The contrast between Cale's intense study and Adrian's vigilant navigation highlighted their complementary strengths. Together, they embodied a balance of knowledge and action, each contributing crucially to their progress. Their roles were distinct but intertwined, with Cale seeking the hidden truths and Adrian steering them towards their ultimate goal, their combined efforts driving them closer to the treasure that lay ahead. The peace of the sea was abruptly shattered by a piercing whistle that cut through the tranquil air like a knife. Adrian's heart skipped a beat as his eyes locked onto a dark silhouette emerging from the dense mist that had settled over the waters. The familiar shape of the pirate ship, now looming large and menacing against the backdrop of the Crimson Isles, sent a jolt of recognition and alarm through him. The ship, having undergone swift and meticulous repairs, appeared even more formidable than before, its dark hull and ominous presence a stark contrast to the gentle waves of the sea. The black sails of the pirate vessel snapped aggressively in the wind, their tattered edges flapping like the wings of a ravenous bird. The ship's renewed and intimidating appearance was a testament to the urgency with which its crew had worked to make it battle-ready. The sight of the dark sails, now fully restored and billowing with a foreboding promise, filled the air with an unmistakable sense of dread. The ship's prow cut through the mist with a menacing grace, its presence a stark reminder of the peril they faced and the relentless pursuit of their adversaries. Adrian's spine tingled with a chill as he watched the pirate ship approach, the earlier sense of calm on the Sea Serpent now replaced by a tense anticipation. The sight of the enemy vessel, so close and so clearly prepared for confrontation, heightened the urgency of their situation. The once peaceful sea seemed to grow darker and more turbulent in response to the looming threat, as if the very elements were aligning with the pirate ship's menacing intent. Adrian's grip tightened on the wheel, his mind racing to prepare for the inevitable clash that awaited them. "Cale!" Adrian's voice rang out across the deck, cutting through the quiet murmur of the sea with a sharp edge of urgency. The moment the shrill whistle had pierced the air, Adrian's instincts had kicked into high gear, and he knew he needed Cale's expertise immediately. His shout carried a weight of alarm, reflecting the immediate danger posed by the looming pirate ship that had emerged from the mist. The familiar tension in Adrian's voice was a clear signal to Cale that their situation had just escalated. Below deck, Cale's head snapped up at the sound of Adrian's frantic call. The ancient texts and magical artifacts he had been studying were momentarily forgotten as he dashed up the stairs. The urgency in Adrian's shout was unmistakable, and Cale's heart raced as he prepared to face whatever threat had materialized. The gravity of the situation was not lost on him. The pirate ship's reappearance meant that their adversaries were ready for another confrontation, and Cale's skills would be crucial in fending off the impending danger. As Cale emerged onto the deck, his eyes widened at the sight of the pirate ship bearing down on them with renewed menace. The once calm sea was now charged with tension, and the dark silhouette of the enemy vessel loomed large against the misty backdrop. Cale quickly assessed the scene, his mind shifting gears from research to rapid response. With the pirate ship's ominous presence now a stark reality, Cale knew that their preparation and resolve would be tested once again, and their ability to face this renewed threat would determine the next phase of their perilous journey. Cale emerged from below deck, his face ashen but his expression set in a determined grimace. The urgency in Adrian's voice had prompted him to leave the relative safety of his studies, and the sight of the approaching pirate ship confirmed his worst fears. The dark silhouette of Rourke's vessel against the misty horizon brought a new level of gravity to their situation. Cale's mind raced as he took in the ominous sight, realizing that their adversaries had managed to track them down despite their best efforts to evade them. "Rourke's crew again," Cale said, his voice steady despite the pallor of his face. The weight of the situation was evident in his tone, each word carrying the burden of the threat they faced. The pirates' persistence was a testament to their ruthless determination, and Cale knew that the stakes of their mission had just risen significantly. He quickly assessed their resources and the ship's condition, his mind already shifting to strategies and countermeasures that would be necessary for the impending confrontation. With a deep breath, Cale turned to Adrian, his resolve hardening. "They must have tracked us here," he continued, his voice carrying an edge of grim determination. "We need to prepare for battle." The urgency in his words reflected the dire need for swift and decisive action. Cale's hands moved with practiced efficiency as he began to ready his magical defenses, knowing that the upcoming fight would test their limits. Their earlier victory over Rourke's crew had been hard-won, but this new confrontation would demand even more from them, both in terms of skill and resolve. The pirates wasted no time in their assault. With a series of precise and coordinated maneuvers, they expertly closed the gap between their menacing vessel and the Sea Serpent. The air was filled with the sharp twang of grappling hooks and boarding lines as they were hurled with ruthless efficiency, each one finding its mark on the Sea Serpent's rails. The pirates' swift and practiced actions left no room for hesitation, their dark silhouettes moving like shadows against the backdrop of the ocean. As the grappling hooks secured their hold, the pirates began to swarm over the railings with chilling determination. Their weapons, sharp and well-maintained, caught the sunlight with a menacing glint, casting ominous reflections as they prepared to engage. The sounds of their arrival were a cacophony of clattering metal and shouted orders, creating an atmosphere of impending violence. The deck of the Sea Serpent quickly filled with the tumultuous energy of battle, as the pirates advanced with brutal efficiency. The sight of the pirates descending upon them with such aggression left no doubt about their intentions. The Sea Serpent's crew scrambled to respond, bracing themselves for the fierce clash that was about to unfold. With the pirates' grim faces and deadly weapons now just a heartbeat away, Adrian and Cale readied themselves for the confrontation, their resolve steeling as they faced the onslaught of their relentless foes. Adrian's heart pounded with urgency as he took command, his voice cutting through the chaos that erupted on the deck. "All hands on deck!" he bellowed, his tone a blend of authority and desperation. The weight of the imminent threat pressed heavily on him, each second ticking away with the potential to tip the balance of the battle. His eyes swept across the deck, meeting the determined gazes of his crew as they scrambled to respond to his orders. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their initial shock quickly giving way to action. "Ready for battle!" Adrian shouted, his voice rising above the clamor of the pirate assault. The sailors hurried to their positions, arming themselves and preparing the ship's defenses with swift, practiced movements. The clatter of weapons and the rush of footsteps created a frenetic symphony of preparation, underscoring the gravity of the situation. Adrian's command was not just a call to arms, but a rallying cry that infused the crew with a sense of urgency and purpose. "We've got to protect the ship," he urged, his voice resolute as he fortified his resolve. The Sea Serpent was their home and their sanctuary, and every crew member understood the stakes of the battle they faced. With their captain's unwavering determination driving them, they braced themselves for the fight ahead, united in their mission to defend their vessel against the relentless onslaught of the pirates. The crew sprang into action with a practiced urgency, their previous skirmish having honed their readiness for this moment. They moved swiftly and decisively, the lessons learned from past battles evident in their fluid, coordinated efforts. The clang of metal against metal and the shouted commands created a rhythm of combat that was both chaotic and disciplined. Each crew member, from the seasoned veterans to the green recruits, fell into their roles with a determined precision that spoke to their experience and training. Amid the turmoil, Adrian and Cale fought side by side, their combat skills melding seamlessly through a deepening trust and understanding. Their movements were a testament to their growing partnership, each action complementary to the others as if they were pieces of a well-oiled machine. Adrian's blade cleaved through the air with practiced grace, while Cale's magic flared in strategic bursts, creating barriers and blasts that turned the tide of skirmishes in their favor. The synchronization of their efforts was not merely tactical but also an expression of their mutual respect and reliance. As they battled together, their shared experiences and challenges forged a bond that made their teamwork exceptionally effective. The intensity of the fight only strengthened their connection, making their coordination almost intuitive. With every clash and counter, Adrian and Cale's camaraderie shone through, their movements in sync as they navigated the chaos of battle. Their combined strength became a formidable force against the pirate assault, illustrating the powerful alliance they had built through adversity. Cale's hands crackled with a fierce, radiant light as he summoned magical barriers to shield the sea serpent from the relentless pirate assault. The glow emanated from his palms, casting intricate patterns of luminescence across the deck. Each barrier he conjured was a shimmering wall of energy that intercepted incoming attacks with a burst of brilliance, absorbing and deflecting the pirates' blows. The magical barriers pulsed rhythmically, reflecting Cale's intense focus and the formidable power he wielded to protect their ship. Amidst the chaos, Cale unleashed bursts of energy that cut through the encroaching darkness with precision. These bursts were like lightning strikes, illuminating the deck with their fierce radiance as they hurled toward the pirates. Each spell was meticulously aimed, tearing through the air with a sharp, electrifying force that sent invaders reeling. The explosive impact of Cale's magic created a visible buffer around the sea serpent, disrupting the pirates' advance and providing much-needed relief for the crew under siege. The dimming daylight only accentuated the brilliance of Cale's magic, turning the deck into a stage of dazzling combat. As shadows lengthened and the sky darkened, his spells carved through the gloom with a vibrant intensity. Each flash of his magic was a testament to his skill and resolve, turning the tide of battle with every calculated incantation. Cale's ability to maintain such control under pressure was a crucial element in their defense, reflecting both his formidable talents and his unwavering commitment to their cause. Adrian moved with a fierce determination, his sword a blur of flashing steel in the encroaching dusk. The dimming light cast long shadows over the deck, but his blade cut through the gloom with precise, powerful arcs. Each strike was executed with deliberate force, a calculated maneuver designed to overpower his opponents and drive them back. The clanging of metal reverberated through the evening air, punctuating his aggressive defense against the encroaching pirates. His combat style was a seamless blend of tactical acumen and raw physical strength. Adrian's movements were both strategic and forceful, aimed at exploiting the weaknesses in the pirates' formation while maintaining a strong defense. He anticipated their attacks with sharp reflexes, using his sword to deflect and counter with a relentless efficiency. His experience and training were evident in every controlled swing and parry, his focus unwavering as he fought to protect his ship from the invading force. As the battle wore on, Adrian's resolve only hardened. The relentless pace of the fight did little to diminish his fervor. If anything, it fueled his determination. His every action was driven by a sense of duty to his crew and the sea serpent, making him a formidable defender of both. With each pirate he repelled and each blow he delivered, Adrian's commitment to safeguarding his ship and its crew was palpable, his presence on the deck a bulwark against the chaos of the attack. Despite the sea serpent's valiant defense, the pirate crew's numbers appeared inexhaustible, surging over the deck with relentless determination. Each wave of pirates seemed to swell the ranks, their sheer volume threatening to overwhelm Adrian and his crew. The chaotic din of battle, punctuated by the clash of metal and shouts of combat, filled the air as the relentless assault continued. Amidst this turmoil, Captain Rourke carved a path through the fray with a predatory grin stretched across his face. His imposing figure was a dark silhouette against the backdrop of the fight, and his eyes were fixed with grim intensity on Adrian. With a commanding presence, Rourke advanced, his cutlass swinging with lethal precision. His aggressive assault was a stark contrast to the turmoil around him, as he cut through the melee toward his target. The moment came when Rourke and Adrian faced off in a dramatic clash of steel. The two adversaries locked blades with a violent, resounding clash, the impact reverberating through the chaos of the battle. Rourke's cutlass met Adrian's sword in a fierce duel, each combatant exerting their full strength and skill. The brutal exchange of blows was a testament to their skill and resolve, their eyes locked in a fierce battle of wills as they fought for dominance amidst the surrounding chaos. Rourke's voice cut through the din of battle, a snarl of contempt dripping with malice. His face twisted into a menacing sneer as he glared at Adrian, the fire of conflict igniting in his eyes. "You're persistent, I'll give you that," he taunted, his tone laced with a blend of admiration and disdain. His cutlass flashed in the fading light, a stark symbol of the threat he posed as he engaged Adrian with renewed fervor. Despite Rourke's harsh words, his aggressive demeanor spoke volumes about the depths of his determination. Every swing of his blade was fueled by a fierce resolve to best Adrian and claim victory. His movements were driven by a ruthless confidence, his voice a grating reminder of the peril Adrian faced. "But persistence won't save you from what's coming," Rourke continued, his voice echoing through the chaos, a chilling promise of the danger that lay ahead. As the two adversaries clashed, Rourke's words hung heavy in the air, a dark foreshadowing of the confrontation's outcome. His disdainful taunts were a calculated part of his psychological warfare, designed to unnerve and provoke Adrian. The intensity of their battle was matched only by the animosity between them, each strike and parry underscoring the high stakes of their confrontation. The outcome of this fierce duel would determine not only their immediate fates, but also the larger struggle that loomed over their quest. Adrian gritted his teeth, his jaw set with grim determination as he countered Rourke's relentless assault. Each clash of their swords rang out with a sharp, metallic sound, a testament to the fierce battle unfolding between them. Adrian's grip on his sword tightened, his muscles straining with the effort to deflect Rourke's powerful blows. The sweat on his brow mingled with the grime of the fight, but his resolve remained unshaken. His eyes, focused and steely, locked onto Rourke with unyielding defiance. "You're not getting the best of me," Adrian growled, his voice cutting through the chaos of the skirmish. "We're not giving up. Not now, not ever." His words were a rallying cry as much for himself as for his crew, a declaration of their refusal to back down. Each word was imbued with the fierce resolve that had carried him through countless trials, and his sword flashed with renewed vigor. His stance was firm, unwavering, as he met Rourke's aggressive attacks with a blend of tactical precision and raw strength. Despite Rourke's overpowering aggression, Adrian's unrelenting spirit shone through. His every move was a testament to his steadfast commitment, a refusal to surrender despite the overwhelming odds. The intensity of their duel seemed to heighten with each exchange, the very air crackling with the energy of their clash. Adrian's fierce declaration echoed his unbreakable resolve, driving him forward with the determination to protect his ship and complete their mission, no matter the cost. Cale, acutely aware of the escalating danger, turned his attention to the heart of the battle where Captain Rourke's relentless assault on Adrian showed no sign of easing. His face was set with intense concentration as he channeled his magical energies, the air around him crackling with raw power. With a swift and deliberate motion, Cale summoned a surge of brilliant light that radiated from his outstretched hands. The spell's energy coalesced into a powerful blast, its brilliance piercing through the encroaching gloom and cutting a swath through the chaos of the fight. The beam of light shot forth with explosive force, crashing into Rourke with an impact that reverberated across the deck. The pirate captain was driven backward by the force of the spell, his fierce grip on his cutlass faltering as he stumbled against the railing. The light blazed fiercely, pushing him away from Adrian and creating a temporary but crucial reprieve in the heat of the battle. The sheer intensity of the blast illuminated the deck in stark contrasts of light and shadow, momentarily disrupting the pirate crew's advance. As the magical energy dissipated, Kale's eyes remained locked on Rourke, ready to respond to any further threat. The brief respite allowed Adrian to regain his footing and adjust his strategy, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he prepared to re-engage with renewed vigor. Kale's quick thinking and precise spell work had not only safeguarded Adrian but had also shifted the momentum of the battle, providing the crucial advantage needed to press forward. Fueled by the respite provided by Kale's magic, Adrian seized the opportunity to intensify his assault. With a burst of renewed energy, he closed in on Captain Rourke, his movements precise and aggressive. Each swing of his sword was executed with sharp precision, aimed to exploit the vulnerability that the magical blast had created. Adrian's strikes were a whirlwind of focused aggression, each blow pushing Rourke further back and gradually dismantling the pirate captain's defense. The force of Adrian's onslaught began to take its toll on Rourke, whose previously unshakable confidence started to wane. The pirate captain, once brimming with arrogance, now found himself struggling to keep pace with Adrian's relentless strikes. His attempts to counter were increasingly desperate, his movements becoming less fluid under the pressure. With each clash of their blades, the weight of his situation grew more apparent, and the confidence in his demeanor faded under Adrian's determined onslaught. Finally, with a decisive, powerful swing, Adrian's blade connected with Rourke's weapon in a clash that sent the cutlass flying from the pirate captain's grip. The sword clattered across the deck, landing among the scattered debris of battle. Adrian's victorious stance was clear as he stood over Rourke, his chest heaving with exertion, while the defeated pirate captain knelt on the deck, his earlier bravado extinguished. The battle was turning in their favor, and the tide of combat shifted dramatically with Rourke disarmed. Rourke, now visibly outmatched and struggling to regain his footing, stumbled back across the deck. His face was a mask of fury and frustration, every line etched with the sting of defeat. The fire in his eyes spoke of a burning rage that refused to be extinguished, and his breath came in ragged, furious gasps. The disarray of his crew and the disarmament only seemed to fuel his anger further, as he grappled with the reality of his situation. "This isn't over, Adrian!" Rourke's voice, laced with venom, cut through the chaos of the battle as he glared at his opponent. His words were a snarled promise, filled with a palpable menace. Despite the defeat he faced on the deck, Rourke's voice carried the weight of unresolved vendetta, hinting at a larger conflict that was far from concluded. His defiant proclamation reverberated through the air, echoing the undying nature of his rivalry with Adrian. As the tension of the confrontation lingered, Rourke's expression hardened with a grim determination. The pirate captain's retreat, although forced, was not a signal of surrender but a tactical withdrawal, one that suggested he would regroup and strike again. Adrian's victory in this battle had not silenced Rourke's rage or quelled the threat he posed. With the pirate captain retreating, the promise of further conflict hung heavy in the air, underscoring the ongoing peril that lay ahead in their quest. With Rourke's defeat, the tide of battle shifted decisively. The once unyielding pirate crew faltered, their confidence shaken by the fall of their formidable leader. The sight of Rourke sprawling on the deck, disarmed and defeated, cast a palpable pall over his men. Uncertainty rippled through the ranks, and their previously unified front began to crumble. In a frantic scramble, many of the remaining pirates turned and fled, making a hasty retreat back to their ship. The disarray among their ranks was evident as they clambered over the railings and swung down the ropes with a palpable sense of panic. The retreating pirates left behind a chaotic scene on the Sea Serpent's deck. The few who remained to face Adrian's crew were quickly and decisively outnumbered. Adrian's crew, battle-hardened and resolute, surged forward with renewed vigor, their movements efficient and focused. They pressed their advantage with a coordinated effort, pushing back against the disorganized remnants of the pirate crew. Their swift and organized response underscored the discipline and readiness that had been honed through countless skirmishes. Kale, meanwhile, played a crucial role in the final stages of the battle. His magical prowess was instrumental in sealing the fate of the remaining pirates. With precise and powerful spells, Kale unleashed bursts of energy that cleared the deck and repelled the last of the attackers. His magic created a formidable barrier against the pirates' desperate attempts to fight back, further tipping the balance in favor of Adrian's crew. The combined might of Adrian's tactical leadership and Cale's arcane abilities overwhelmed the few pirates who dared to stand their ground, bringing the battle to a decisive and victorious close. As the last of the pirates scrambled back to their ship and vanished into the distance, Adrian and Cale took a moment to survey the aftermath of the fierce battle. The deck of the Sea Serpent bore the scars of the skirmish, with splintered wood and scattered debris marking the chaos that had unfolded. Cannonball impacts had left deep gouges in the ship's sides, and several of the rigging lines were frayed or severed. Despite the visible damage, the vessel itself remained afloat and relatively intact, a testament to its sturdy construction and the crew's valiant efforts. Amid the wreckage, Adrian and Cale worked together to assess the state of their ship and their crew. The men, though weary and battered, were a resilient sight. They moved methodically, tending to minor injuries and securing loose equipment. The earlier tension of the battle had shifted to a focused, grim determination as the crew began the process of repairing and reassembling their ship. The efficiency and camaraderie with which they tackled the aftermath underscored the bond that had been strengthened through their shared trials. Cale, his face smeared with a mixture of sweat and grime, took a deep breath as he cast a final protective spell over the Sea Serpent. The magical barrier shimmered briefly, reinforcing the ship's defenses against any further threats. Adrian joined him at the bow, surveying the horizon with a renewed sense of vigilance. Their victory, though hard-earned, was bittersweet, knowing that the perilous journey was far from over. As they prepared to resume their quest, the battle's toll was evident, but so was their unwavering resolve to see it through to the end. Adrian's voice was thick with fatigue as he surveyed the aftermath of the battle. "That was too close," he said, the weight of their near defeat evident in his tone. The exhaustion of the fight was clear on his face, each line etched deeper by the tension and strain of the confrontation. He wiped a smear of blood from his brow, his eyes reflecting the gravity of their situation. The deck of the Sea Serpent, though victorious, bore the marks of their narrow escape, with the crew visibly worn and the ship in need of immediate repairs. The reality of their predicament was unmistakable. Rourke and his crew were relentless, and their pursuit posed a continuous threat. As Adrian's gaze swept over the damage, he turned to Cale, his resolve sharpening amidst the weariness. "We need to find a way to end this once and for all," Adrian said, his voice firm despite his exhaustion. The realization that Rourke's crew would not relent until they achieved their goal underscored the urgency of their next steps. Adrian's strategic mind was already at work, contemplating their options and weighing the risks of their ongoing journey. The battle had been a harsh reminder that the stakes were high and that their enemies were not to be underestimated. Cale, equally weary but determined, nodded in agreement. "Rourke and his crew won't stop until they get what they want," he said, his voice steady despite the battle's toll. His eyes were focused, reflecting a shared commitment to overcoming the threats that lay ahead. "We need to anticipate their moves and be prepared for whatever comes next." With the immediate danger momentarily past, both Adrian and Cale understood that their quest had reached a critical juncture. The path forward would require not just bravery and skill, but also a decisive strategy to secure their ultimate goal and ensure their survival against their relentless foes. Cale's expression was a mix of grim determination and steadfast resolve as he met Adrian's gaze. "We're closer to the treasure," he began, his voice steady despite the fatigue that clung to him. "And we've proven that we can handle the threats." The battle they had just endured had tested their limits, but it had also reinforced their capabilities and their bond. Cale's focus was clear, his mind already shifting to the next phase of their quest. The intense strain of the previous skirmishes was evident in his eyes, but so was a fierce determination to press on. Despite the confidence in his words, Cale's voice carried an undercurrent of caution. "But we must stay vigilant," he continued, his tone brooking no argument. The reminder of the dangers that lay ahead was necessary, for they were not out of peril yet. The magical defenses guarding the treasure were likely to be as formidable as, if not more so than, the pirates they had just faced. Cale's knowledge of sea magic and ancient enchantments gave him a unique perspective on the potential hazards awaiting them. and he wanted Adrian to understand the gravity of their situation. Cale's thoughts were already racing ahead, considering the complex web of enchantments they might encounter. The magical defenses around the treasure are likely to be as dangerous as the pirates, he said, his voice resolute. His acknowledgement of the potential perils highlighted the importance of their preparedness. As they moved forward, their journey would demand not only their physical strength and combat skills but also a deep understanding of and readiness for the arcane challenges that lay in wait. Cale's determination to face these trials head-on was clear, and his focus was unwavering as they prepared for the next critical step in their quest. Adrian's gaze was fixed on the retreating pirate ship, his eyes hardened with unyielding determination. The sight of the damaged vessel slowly disappearing into the distance did little to ease the storm of resolve within him. "We've faced down Rourke once," Adrian said, his voice a steely promise. "We can do it again." His words were not just a statement but a declaration of their unwavering commitment to seeing their quest through to the end. The intense battle had tested their limits, but it had also forged a steely resolve to confront their enemies head-on. The remnants of the battle still lay scattered across the Sea Serpent's deck, a stark reminder of the fight they had just endured. Adrian's determination burned brightly, fueled by the fierce confrontation with Captain Rourke and his crew. "But next time," he continued, his voice steady and unwavering, "we'll be ready for whatever he throws at us." The resolve in his voice was matched by the intense focus in his eyes. He was prepared to turn the challenges they faced into opportunities, ensuring they would not be caught off guard again. Adrian's commitment to their mission was unwavering, and his words were a beacon of hope for his crew. The battle with Rourke was far from over, and the road ahead would undoubtedly be fraught with more challenges. "We'll be ready," Adrian reaffirmed, his voice filled with unshakable confidence. The promise he made was not just to his crew but to himself, a testament to his unwavering resolve to see their quest through, no matter the obstacles that lay ahead. The fierce glare of determination in his eyes was a clear signal that they would face whatever came next with the same courage and preparedness that had brought them this far. As the Sea Serpent continued its journey through the treacherous waters of the Crimson Isles, the looming threat of the rival pirate crew, led by the formidable Captain Rourke, cast a long shadow over their path. Yet, despite the ever-present danger, Adrian and Cale's resolve remained as steadfast as the ship itself. The constant vigilance required to navigate the perilous waters and the persistent threat of attack had only sharpened their focus and strengthened their determination to complete their quest. The bond between Adrian and Cale, which had been tested repeatedly through fierce battles and relentless challenges, had emerged stronger with each trial they faced. The fires of conflict had forged a connection between them that went beyond mere alliance. Their shared experiences in the heat of battle had deepened their trust and understanding, creating a partnership marked by mutual respect and unwavering support. This strengthened bond had become a crucial pillar of their resolve, giving them the strength to confront the dangers that lay ahead. With every new challenge they encountered, Adrian and Cale's commitment to their quest and to each other grew deeper. The trials they faced together had cemented their relationship, transforming their initial alliance into a profound and enduring partnership. Their journey through the Crimson Isles was not just a quest for treasure but a testament to the strength of their bond and their dedication to overcoming the obstacles that stood in their way. Each challenge faced together only reinforced their determination to see their mission through to the end. The journey ahead was fraught with peril, as the Crimson Isles were notorious for their treacherous conditions and magical defenses. Yet, Adrian and Cale faced this daunting path with a blend of resolve and expertise honed by their experiences. Their combined skills, Adrian's tactical prowess and Cale's mastery of magic, were their greatest assets, equipping them to confront the myriad dangers that awaited them. Each challenge encountered had only strengthened their resolve, preparing them for the trials yet to come. The elusive treasure they sought was tantalizingly close, its allure a constant reminder of their purpose. Despite the relentless attacks from rival pirates and the mounting threats from the magical defenses surrounding the treasure, Adrian and Cale remained undeterred. Their previous encounters with danger had only solidified their determination, and the prospect of finally achieving their goal fueled their perseverance. They understood that the final leg of their quest would be the most difficult, but their commitment to seeing it through was unwavering. Together, Adrian and Cale were ready to face whatever obstacles lay ahead, their spirits undaunted by the challenges that loomed. The journey had tested their limits and their bond, but it had also revealed their strength and tenacity. With their eyes set firmly on the prize and their hearts resolute, they were prepared to navigate the remaining dangers of their quest and claim the treasure that had eluded so many before them.